Guzman, Fox News, and no ceasefire agreement was reached in talks in Cairo Sunday for ceasefire, but negotiations are expected to continue this week. This as tensions remain high in the Middle East after Israel and Hezbollah traded a barrage of rocket attacks.
Israel says it carried out preemptive strikes against the Iranian-backed group prior to the showdown. The IDF claims it detected a large-scale attack was imminent. Both Iran and Hezbollah have been threatening retaliation against Israel for weeks after the assassinations of a top Hamas and top Hezbollah leader. This all coming as ceasefire and hostage talks continue between Israel and Hamas in Cairo. A U.S. official says they have been constructive. Negotiators are trying to bridge gaps between the warring sides in hopes they can prevent a wider regional conflict.
Fox's John Scott. Russia hitting Ukraine with a massive overnight drone and missile attack. At least 3 people are dead, as we hear from Fox's Jonathan Savage.
Power and water appeared to be the target, with supplies disrupted in the capital Kyiv. Explosions continued to ring out there through the morning rush hour. Ukraine's Air Force says multiple groups of Russian drones were used to assault all regions of the country. They were followed up by cruise and ballistic missiles. NATO aircraft in Poland were activated since the strikes came close to the Polish border. The US Embassy issued a warning last week of an elevated risk of attack around Ukrainian Independence Day, which was marked on Saturday. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
And in Arizona, the body of a 33-year-old woman who was swept away in flooding in Grand Canyon National Park late last week has been recovered. The remains of Chenoa Nickerson transported by helicopter to the Coconino Medical Examiner's office. America's listening to Fox News.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten it. You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to it. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. Rated PG-13. May not be suitable for children under 13.
The Morning Xtra, only on Xtra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Xtra. We're on the air until 10.
Almost had it.
Almost out of the gate. Almost had it, but alas, no. I'm glad that y'all are here, though, to pick me up, to shoulder the weight.
You've got the 0FG ready to go.
I know, right? I'm about to crack it open, too. Listen closely.
Get it going. It's early.
There it goes. There it goes. I should have left it higher so you could hear.
Rhino's got the coffee.
I got the coffee.
I'm sitting with an energy drink. Everyone is caffeinated except for Joe. And well, never mind.
Yes,
I take it back. The whole show is caffeinated at 6:03 in the morning.
He's got 0 F's to give. That's what Joey has over there in his hand, ready to go, along with that nice mustache. You know? I mean, it's stellar. It's lovely this morning. I feel like you brushed it.
It really is.
I brush it every morning.
Oh, okay. Well, some mornings you can't tell as well as you can today.
You look like Spencer Strider hurt his arm and sat out for months and just ate.
Twinkies.
Yeah, and somehow like shrunk like 6 inches.
Yeah, right. And lost all the quads he had.
Yeah. He used to be Quadzilla, and now he's turned into Joe Virgin River.
That's right. That's right.
I've got some nice thighs. Solid glutes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah, you know. I've seen Spencer Strider on the mound. I've seen the damage he can do. I don't know that you could do that kind of damage, Joey.
Well, that's freakish stuff.
It is. That's next level.
I just hope that there is something that Spencer Strider does that Joe can do it as an equal. Like a spelling contest.
Is Joe good at spelling?
No, I'm dyslexic.
Oh.
Exactly.
No, well. So, okay. Well, you know what? I think
we have similar music tastes.
What does he like to listen to?
He likes indie stuff. Indie rock.
All right. That's good enough. He's going to be sad this weekend, though, Spencer Strider. when his Clemson Tigers get their ass kicked.
Oh. Down
All right, so I'm glad you went down this road this quickly in the show because there wasn't much to week 0 unless you made it a point to watch the noon kickoff with Georgia Tech and Florida State.
Because my son's best friend's a quarterback at Tech, so he was there. We saw him on TV a bunch, and then the celebration, we got great pictures of him, just huge smiles on his face.
The weirdest part about that game was watching Florida State go right down the field with the opening kickoff, and you just said, oh my God, this is going to be all day.
That's what I said, too.
Andy Demetro, who's voice of the Yellow Jackets, had a really great note. So they had 58 yards rushing on their opening possession. They had 40 the rest of the game.
Yeah, dude.
Just shut them down.
Tech was so much more physical.
Yeah.
They pushed Florida State around the entire game. I mean, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before.
Yeah, it was impressive.
I was blown away because just like Los, after that first drive, I'd come upstairs. Laura was like, you just missed it. The first drive happened. They scored immediately. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be ugly.
Yeah, it was quick.
Because we had 2 or 3 families that we know that went to Ireland because, their kids were at Tech. And we're like, man, that would be terrible to go all the way over there and lose. Oh, Lord.
Lose badly.
Lose bad. Yeah. But thankfully they didn't. Tech won. But they were telling us that it was probably 60-40 Florida State, 70-30 Florida State. So a lot of Florida State fans traveled really well and went home with their tails between their legs.
Crying.
Just upset and crying and bawling.
Oh, I saw one
just
of the
bawling.
Barstool FSU. They put up there like, we got to travel across, all the way across the continent to get to Ireland and then get off and then have to worry about throwing a football. And well, where did Georgia Tech come from? Down the street?
Yeah. It's just
stop with the excuses. And then this is what I love about college football. I got to see everybody, SEC, ACC, everybody going, well, that's exactly why you didn't belong in the playoff last year.
To begin with.
Well, the dog pile started right away. As soon as that 44-yard kick went through, it was, you've lost to back-to-back Georgia teams, huh?
That's right.
Playoff team, 13-0, should be in the playoffs.
Did y'all see Brian Kemp tweet about that? He said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Florida State losing to 2 Georgia teams in back-to-back games.
There's nothing
in
better.
2 different seasons.
Trolling.
Yeah. I didn't expect it out of
Cat.
I didn't expect it out of the governor.
But the bummer
I didn't either.
of all this, and you'll get the payoff at the end, I get it, 12-team playoff. It doesn't mean you're done. Typically, when you get
right.
beat,
yes,
week 1, week 2, and you're thinking to yourself, man, my season is in peril. It's almost over. Florida State goes on. They win the ACC. They win the championship. They're in, and that's it.
That's it.
It's a little bit of a different scenario now.
They ain't gonna do that.
You don't think so?
No, they're get their ass kicked up down the field all season long.
I mean, Tech definitely exposed a game plan for a lot of ACC teams to go ahead and
run the ball. Run the ball.
That's it.
Somebody needs to take them over to Onward Reserve and get one of those hats that says "Run the damn ball." That's
so
all
great.
they need. That's all they need is to run the ball.
Look, I'm a Florida fan. I want to see Florida State go down in flames.
I was in misery, right?
It was one of the happiest days. We went to Marlowe's Tavern and grabbed something to eat after paddleboarding and watched, a lot of that game. And I was just sitting there with my eyes were as big as saucers, man. I was just drooling. They're like, "Oh, you waiting for the food?" I'm like, "No, I'm drooling. FSU could lose."
I don't even care if you bring the food.
Right. What food?
So we had my 10-year-old daughter's birthday party, and we went to the Slime Museum, and we did that whole thing, and I had it on my phone the entire time. Then my wife sent me to go get cupcakes, and we got back over to our neighborhood. So I'm over in Publix. I'm doing the cupcake shopping.
Yeah.
And a guy walks by, and he can hear what's going on in my hand. He goes, "Hey, what's the score?" And I was like, "Oh, it's 21-all right now." He goes, "Yeah, I just had to run over here. My wife needed me to get something." I'm like, I'm doing the same exact thing. But that was the cool part about college football is that we were doing the exact same thing. We were watching the game. Yeah, I had to take care of a honeydew. You had to take care of a honeydew. And both of us are asking each other what's the score in the aisle.
Rendezvous at the Publix. Now, where did you say y'all went to what museum?
The Slime Museum.
What is the Slime
that
Museum?
sounds fantastic.
So this is over in Buckhead. It's over off, it's a little bit north of Lenox. And this, for kids who like slime. And let's face it.
Slime, S-L-I-M-E. I thought you said sly, like S-L-Y.
No, I mean, we all grew up in the age of Double Dare.
Yes, right, now it all makes sense.
Like, did you not, at like 8 years old, like the greatest thing that could ever happen to you is be slimed?
For sure. I wanted to be on Double Dare so bad.
I know.
I had no way of even guessing how to make it happen.
Well, they have like a multitude of rooms, and at the very end, they put them in these big old bags and they get slimed.
Nice.
Yes.
So I was like, it's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
And again, 10-year-olds really love that sort of stuff. It makes your clothes smell a little funky. But yeah, that was me mixing in my college football and my slime Saturday.
Okay, slime Saturday.
I love it.
Now, can adults,
young slime life
adults
up in here?
The size of kids go in there and get slimed too? Because I would love that.
The wife went ahead and jumped in and said she would get slimed. And so the weird part about all of it was that after it was done, because her and I, we had to drive 2 cars because we had like 8 kids. So it's like you're in one, it's the other. And so when we were having these car issues,
a bunch of y'all with us.
It was so frustrating to have to deal with this stuff. The fun part about it was as I see her coming out of the slime museum as I'm getting ready to load up my car, I'm like, man, why is she so sweaty? She had this like giant trail of moisture all the way down her chest and one down the side of her back because apparently that bag that they put on you didn't work all that well. That's really ridiculous.
Yuck. No, thank you. I don't want to go to the slime museum. Like I would have. 8-year-old Tug Cowart would have loved to have gone.
You. Yeah. There was something
47-year-old Tug Cowart.
There's something that goes off in you where you go, oh, that looks really cool.
Okay, I'm gonna take your word for it. No, I want other people to do it.
I mean,
I think
look at that.
No,
like they're getting slime.
It's like a rain.
Yeah,
it's like a rain locker.
It's kind of cool.
Of slime, and that looks blue. Was it blue?
Yeah, they had a blue slime that they used on them.
All right,
not the green one that we're all used to from Double Dare.
Yeah,
which by the way, it looked really chunky and gross compared to what they were using.
Chunky and gross slime. Yuck. And I remember watching Ghostbusters as a kid, thinking Slimer hitting you up would not be all that bad. You know
Bill
what I mean?
Murray's laying on the floor and says he slimed me.
Yes, this is so good.
That ectoplasm.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I feel like that's where all that spawned from, like the whole Double Dare slime. Yeah, because I remember seeing that first, and then all of a sudden, Double Dare blew up.
So, yeah, their kids still getting slime these days.
I love it. That's good news. What it is. Good news.
It's good news. We got college football and sliming.
That's right. What more could you ask for? I mean, and then, we could talk about the things that will probably make us sad or mad or something like that. Like, I don't know, maybe Joe Biden on vacation again. Dude's on vacation again.
Nothing's going on.
He's getting ahead of freaking Labor Day. Yeah. He was like, I gotta get. It's a long weekend. I'm going to take the week ahead of that too. How about that?
Well, I understand it. The summer's ending. You got to get all your beach in now, and not like he's. Wait, that's right. He won't have anything to do the rest of his,
his
life.
term or his life. Yeah, for that matter. I don't know if you saw it over the weekend. The schedule of events on the official White House letterhead, nothing on the schedule. Zero, nothing is on the schedule because dude's on vacation again. At some point, you have to think that he'd be like, you know what, maybe I should just go ahead and step aside. Let's let Kamala jump in here because I'm done and she's, raring to go. But no, I guess that's not the way it's going to work. But he will continue on vacation. SpaceX, did you see this? SpaceX has decided, or at least the people at NASA have decided, we're going to have to ask SpaceX to go get those 2 stranded astronauts because the Boeing Starliner is not capable of coming home with them safely. So both of these companies have been given billions and billions of dollars to get people to the moon and to develop civilian space travel. Boeing has completely failed.
Oh, completely.
And now they have to get their dark enemy, their worst enemy, SpaceX, to go get the people that they've abandoned at the International Space Station, which I read this morning. It has the room of about a house of like 5-bedroom house. That's the room they have there, for an astronaut and a guest. If you so, what is that, like 10 people? And so they're going to have to send Elon Musk to the rescue and completely put a thumb in the eye of Boeing, which has become a freaking joke as a company.
I think the Democrats, too, are not happy that Elon Musk has to come to the rescue.
Probably not.
And we have to use privatized industry to do something that we fund, billions upon billions upon billions of dollars to. But once again, I think it does show why privatized industry and the thoughts of the American people and the ingenuity of the American people are more important than the government's ingenuity. And I like that. And I hope that we use that because it is going to take somebody who can think outside the box to get up there and get those people and save those lives and, kind of just get everything back to running order. So it'll be very interesting. I've been trying to follow this as much as possible because this will be the first time they're sending them up to do a spacewalk and seeing how everything goes and making sure that the crew is safe before they go ahead and get there. So it's very interesting. I love it. I think it's really cool too.
Yeah, me too, man.
When everything is owned and run by the government, we will be better off, comrades.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
everything
Kamala.
will work much more efficiently.
Yeah.
You will see.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
We'll
afraid.
all learn.
Yeah. At this point, they're afraid Mexico is about to devolve into communism. I was reading an article how Lopez Obrador has, he's the outgoing president, and Scheinbaum, the new president that's coming in. They want to make sure that the government and their courts are making decisions correctly.
Oh, sure.
I was like, that seems dangerous.
Sure does.
Having some sort of thumb on the way the courts operate and everything. But look, I bet Kamala's all behind this. She's probably like, yes, this is great. The more comrades, the better.
Right.
Before we get to the fallout from the RFK endorsement, which has been incredible to see. Today's also the 3rd anniversary of the withdrawal from Afghanistan. So a very sad day for a lot of Gold Star families. They will be in our thoughts today. And hopefully this RFK endorsement of Donald Trump puts us in a position where we don't have to have just the worst leadership, the poorest leadership that you could possibly have behind our military and military decision making. Because I saw all weekend long former Democrats going, you know what? If RFK is in, I'm in too. I appreciate the welcome that I've gotten from my new MAGA friends.
Yeah.
Which has been remarkable, y'all. I couldn't believe what I was reading about half the weekend.
Look, it's one of those things that you see and go, wait a minute, let's reset all of this. You've now have 4, probably more, but let's go with the top 4 Democrats all of a sudden now taking down the Democratic Party. You have RFK Jr., legacy Democrat, family Democrat.
I mean, just the most famous Democrat name there is.
Yeah, Donald Trump, Democrat majority of his life. Then you have Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat. And, of course, Elon Musk, who is a Democrat. And they're all coming together going, wait, where's the Democratic Party gone? Where is the Democratic Party? Because they've gone through to a idea of socialism, communism, and it's quite scary. So a lot of these Democrats are leaving. And I think as much as Jeff Duncan is, a celebrity here in Atlanta for going to the DNC.
Nobody knows who he is.
Nobody knows
who that dude is.
There's no brand name.
And there's
nobody knows who he is.
And there's no substance behind it. With RFK Jr., with Elon Musk, with Tulsi Gabbard, these are substance Democrats that are coming saying, hey, this is not the right direction for the country.
Well, this is a game changer. Yeah. And if you want to recognize what happened on Friday, spend the time. Go listen to what he had to say.
Yeah, it was amazing. We'll play some of it a little later in the show.
It wasn't just that he was explaining why he was putting his weight in his campaign behind Donald Trump. He was eloquent about the reasons why, which was, this is the goal of my life, to change this sort of factor. In his case, he was talking about children's health. And his entire point was, I can have a bigger impact on making this happen if I'm being acknowledged by one of these administrations. The Democrat, which is the one he'd been part of for his entire life, he's like, they don't want anything to do with me.
No,
he's like, Donald Trump.
Me.
Yeah, he flat out said, I sat there with this man. There's things that I vehemently disagree with him with, but there's a lot more that I completely agree with him on. And so I'm going to make it a point to be here to help him because I believe that's going to help us.
Yeah, man. I was really moved by his speech. I was inspired, and I hope as many people as heard it was too, because it was moving.
Well,
man.
The other part about it too, poignant. He pointed out how the destruction of democracy, and we always hear like, oh, the Democrats are saving democracy. We always mock on the show. We joke around about it. There's nothing that they're doing that has anything to do with democracy. And he laid out all the stuff that they had done to him to make sure that he couldn't run. He talked about, hey, listen, I'm looking to primary the president, and they iced me out of this thing. They chose who their winners are going to be. It was the very heart of, this is what happens in communist countries.
Yes. And it is. It is. But we're going to knock out headlines here real quick, but so much more to talk about this morning. Glad that you're along with us. This is the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, August 26th. A 16-year-old from Rome was taken into custody after 4 men were found dead at Pleasant Grove Park in Whitfield County.
That's Dalton, Georgia. That's home, boys.
It sure is.
I read the story.
Did you read it?
I couldn't believe it because I know exactly where that park is.
Yeah, it's really sad and scary. Deputies.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
oh,
it's
no
just
worries.
Home, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Deputies received a call of shots being fired and arrived at the park in Dalton to find 4 men dead, a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 17-year-old. The GBI said they believe multiple weapons were involved. A 16-year-old was charged with 4 counts of felony murder. Investigators are asking the public to help locate an SUV and dark-colored hatchback, saying the vehicle should and would have sustained gunshot damage. The investigation is ongoing. An investigation into contraband being smuggled into the Fulton County Jail has led to more arrests of jail contractors. The contractors were arrested for smuggling $1 million worth of drugs into the facility. 6 people were arrested and 5 more have warrants out for their arrest and are being searched for by authorities. Protesters gathered outside the Fulton County Jail yesterday calling for the resignation of Sheriff Patrick Labatt. And in sports, the Braves could not complete the sweep of the Washington Nationals yesterday, falling 5-1 at Truist Park. Matt Olson did hit his 22nd homer of the season in the loss. The Braves now head to the Twin Cities to take on the Minnesota Twins. The 3-game series will begin tonight at 7:40 with Max Fried on the mound for the Braves. You can catch all the action on our sister station, 680 The Fan.
As I told you on Friday, the RFK announcement would steal the afterglow of the DNC, and it has. Next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
Stream Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Glenn Beck, Fox News, and even NASCAR on Sundays, anywhere on the Extra 106.3 app. Download the app now and get 24/7 access to the live stream, the latest news, and everything you need to know about Atlanta's only conservative talk station. Download the Extra 106.3 app for Apple or Android and check out even more great original content at thepodcastpark.com.
On this episode of The Real Houses of Atlanta.
Whoa, Bobby, what's going on?
Well, now that I'm the HOA president, I'm going to start cracking down on the neighborhood.
With a sledgehammer?
Oh, look, this place is looking rough, and nobody's moving right now either. So I'm telling the neighbors it's time to fix up the homes they have.
And what do you suggest?
Well, I'm telling everybody on the block about Exovations. They're right here, and they can get your house the facelift it needs. We're talking new siding, roofing, windows, doors, decks, even porches, patios, and porticos. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to start with Jim next door. Hey, Jimmy, you got a window out. Check the bylaws.
Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Avoid an HOA headache and let us give your home the facelift it needs. We'll introduce you to our ExoVision, our very own architectural design that allows you to envision your home's transformation before you even start the project. Ready for your on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation? Visit exovations.com and book your consultation today.
Looking for bold discussions on vital issues? Tune in to The Janelle King Show every Saturday at 3 p.m. with an encore episode every Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on Extra 106.3, where we dive into kitchen table topics that are essential for a strong republic. Don't miss an episode, but if you do, it's all good because we have new podcasts that drop every Tuesday on the Podcast Park or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss out on these thought-provoking conversations.
As an official community partner of the Atlanta Braves and the Atlanta Braves Foundation, the Warrior Alliance connects warriors and their families to free services such as health and wellness, housing, employment, education, legal services, and so much more. We need your financial support to increase our impact and change thousands of lives for those who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. It takes more than just thank you for your service. Make a donation to help warriors navigate to success after service. Go to thewarrioralliance.org/donate and make a difference today.
Fox on Tech.
Google is telling people buying their new smartwatch that it can't fix a broken screen.
The Google Pixel Watch 3 is due to come out for sale next month with a price tag in the hundreds of dollars. The smartwatch boasts all the good features for communication, health, and telling the time, of course. And like the previous iterations of Google Pixel Watch, the 3 has a screen that Google says they will not repair if you scratch or break it. The screen is made of sturdy Gorilla Glass, but it can still be damaged. According to the blog Android Authority, Google instead is urging you to buy its service agreement called Preferred Care, which, if you crack your watch's screen, will allow you to pay only $50 for a replacement watch. That comes after you've spent $90 on the plan itself. Screen protectors in this case might be a wise investment. You can get those pretty inexpensively. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
Get the Extra 106.3 app.
Yeah, I got your app. I live out here 30 miles west of Augusta. I'm so glad Conservative Talk is back on the air.
Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra, the afterglow of the DNC, where Kamala Harris said she would put the country above the party and above herself. Be a president for all Americans. That sounds interesting. And
unless you're working in an industry like fracking
then
reality.
So then probably not.
Because she don't want to work for you.
But then she tore into Donald Trump. So she talks about her mama, which was a great. If I give her credit for anything, the story about her mom was terrific.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was terrific. But I wasn't there to watch her tell the story about her mama, as much as I think the story is terrific. I was there to hear her tell me what she was going to do to make America better, to make America great even. And I heard none of that. All I heard was Trump, 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 Trump. I heard her say his name, I think 16 times is the number.
At least.
She spoke for 37 minutes. And 16 times she worked in Donald Trump, and then saying that he was going to jail journalists, and
she spread fear.
Man. She did that. She said
they're the party of fear. Yeah. They're the party of hate. They're the party that sits there and goes, "I want you to treat your opposition with respect," and then goes on to just totally disrespect and lie about their political opponent. Democrats are a bunch of lying fools. And anybody who votes for them and believes the lies, well, you're a fool too. You're too smart for this. And I wish you'd wake up. I wish you'd go and look at her economic policy, because that's what I would have loved to hear about. How she is going to take unrealized. You made money, you don't realize it, so we're going to take it, the government.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted her to talk about. What I want to talk to her about, what I want to hear her say is, I took what J.D. Vance and Donald Trump said about the child tax credit, and then I just added a little bit more money to it. I want her to say, hey, you know that $35 working for all? That's for less than 1% of the people. Abortion, it's even a lower number based on rape and incest, less than 1%. You're not talking to all of America.
No,
you're talking to specialized groups, and you're talking and creating fear while saying you're creating joy. I'm deathly afraid of what Kamala Harris and her party want to do to this country. I am.
We've already seen a glimpse of it.
But not because somebody's out there going, imagine if this is what they're going to do with no basis. I'm doing it because of what she told me so far.
Yeah. It's not that she can't change her mind.
And what she showed me with her record. You want to put your record up against Donald Trump? Let's do it. Border to border, go.
I would love to see
economy to economy, go. Interest rate to interest rate, go. Gas price to gas price, go. I challenge Liberal John and any Democrat that wants to get here to me, and you want to debate me, you're more than welcome. I got 4 mics here. Tug and I would be more than happy to have you come up, and we'll go issue to issue. And I'll tell you what, not one of you will do it, because you know that myself or Tug will destroy your entire rhetoric, because it's all based on lies.
404-741-1230. If you can't get down here, maybe you just like to call. We'll make it easy on you.
Mm-hmm. I want you to come sit down and talk face to face. I want to see you lie to me.
Right.
That's what I love, watching liberals sit here and lie to me. And then when I go, okay, here's the truth, their eyes roll back in the back of their head like they're looking for the answers in their empty cavern of a brain. And they go, whatever, Trump is bad, gotta go, bye.
That's what it always is. Trump is
because
bad.
they're jokers. They don't give you enough information. They give you the lies you're supposed to feed out, and then you have nothing left.
Kamala, in her moment, the spotlight was on her, and The Hill, the liberal publication, not conservative whatsoever, not a shred of conservatism, is on thehill.com if you ever visit. Kamala's moment, the pantsuit, is truly empty. The Democrats, the liberals that write at The Hill, realize that she is not ready to be the Democratic Party nominee. She's an empty pantsuit with a lot of positive media coverage, and that's exactly what's happened. They've turned her in just a little over 30 days into something that she is not. They've kept anybody away from her from asking questions. They've not demanded those questions. As journalists that they say they are, they're supposed to ask the hard questions to the people in power. Speak
no chance
to power. The Washington Post, their subline, their stated goal is democracy dies in the dark as they turn off the lamps and turn off the lights so Kamala Harris can't be asked questions or isn't put in a position that she can't speak unless there's a teleprompter in front of her. They've protected her for over a month. And I wonder when that will change. I doubt, but in the next 75 days it will change. I expect it will continue the exact same way that it's been going. But all she did was tell a sweet story about her mother, which I appreciate.
Oh, I love
nothing about
what
it
a
that I didn't
strong
like.
woman.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm Kamala Harris did a great job.
But other than that sweet
defining
story, that's
who
it.
she was and becoming what she wanted to become and following her dream. It can only happen in America. Now let's go back to that year and figure out what year that was. That she had an opportunity and saw something she wanted to do because she saw an injustice. Because she lived in this country, the one that she continues to say that no one has an opportunity, she had the opportunity to do what she did. Why are we not talking about the opportunity of all those people on stage that are sitting up there that are worth millions of dollars now? Why aren't they talking about how they made their millions of dollars? Oh, I know why, because they made it off the people. So, of course, she's not going to tell you because she made it off taxpayer money. She didn't earn it. But in my regard, she did earn it when she was a DA. She earned it when she was an AG. She did some really bad things. But you had the opportunity to do it, and you did something with it. No one had to hand you anything.
And she's been handed. She's been coronated.
Now she is, yes.
No, that's what I'm saying. Now
right?
She's been coronated. 1-0 primaries. Got 0 people to vote for her. And as The Hill goes on to say, the speech that she gave was devoid of urgency and earnestness. They say her price controls discuss and ended with denunciation of corporate greed, but she never bothered to define what that is. And so, as we've talked about, like, what is your fair share? What is making too much? Who decides what that is?
Well, give me a number on fair share, first of all.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't.
Who makes that number up? Who comes up with it?
Again, any of you out there that might be liberal or thinking this is a good idea to give your fair share to someone, number one, what is a fair share? Number two, why is it fair? Why is it fair to say, and who gets to decide what's fair or what's not? Do we get to, okay, your fair, it's fair because they have too much. Okay,
I think too much.
I think you have too much. I think that Barack Obama has too many houses. We're going to take 2 of his houses away and give them to immigrants. I think you have too many rooms in your house. Why are you using this for an office? We have people who want to come, unlock your doors, take down your walls, and let these illegal criminals, undocumented migrants, to make it better on you, because are they still undocumented migrants when they kill Laken Riley? What do we call them? Undocumented killers? So I want you all that are liberal to open your doors, to be neighborly. Don't lock them. Open them up. Don't put a wall up. In fact, just keep your door open. You have extra room. Your fair share is to open you, because you're calling for it.
open your door, give them your money, and let them stay in your house. Or you know what? Let them stay in the kids' rooms. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's see how safe. Let's put your money where your mouth is, you bunch of fools. You only want to take from other people.
And they do. And they continue to. But the crazy thing is, after 4 days of speeches, hers was the least enthusiastic. It was the least.
It was the same.
But it's the one that was the least moving.
That was horrible.
Barack Obama is an excellent speaker.
I thought Barack was great.
Oprah
I thought Michelle was one of the best.
Absolutely.
Even Hillary,
dude, I got to tell you,
Hillary's speech was better than hers.
It was very good. She's
crazy old lady.
Yeah, she's nuts. But the least...
She looked like she got a new kid's face, too.
Yeah, she was the most underwhelming speech of her coronation. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. This was her
because no
moment.
one likes her.
This is her moment.
It's fake.
And she failed in her moment. Everybody else showed her up. Because you're right, it is fake. It's all about bumper stickers. It's all about... we're all in this together.
Everything's a show.
Move. It's all a bumper sticker. There's no substance behind anything she says ever.
Night 1, you had some interest when it came to viewership. Night 2, because it was so bad, fell off and was like the lowest in I don't know what years, and I'm not going to just throw out a number because I don't need someone coming and go. There was a low number. The third night, even lower. And they said, oh my God. Nobody's watching. You know why? Nobody really likes her. What do? Tease a special guest. They'll all think it's Beyonce. They all think it's Tay-Tay. They think it's going to be someone huge. Get everybody to tune in, hoping for a special guest because they're sheep. And if we tell them a lie, they'll never question it. So we're going to tune in. And they tuned in to find a special guest. That special guest was Kamala Harris, and it was more special than it was guest because that was the horrible, horrible way. I was fine with the introduction of this is who I am, and then you gave me nothing to vote for, nothing. You gave me a reason to vote against you. That's for sure.
I have no idea what her positions are, but I know what has happened while she was in office. And I can't afford groceries anymore, or at least to the level that I could. My savings accounts have dwindled. The price I pay to fill up my truck is gone up. Mm-hmm. So I know what the policies will reflect. I know what they will cause because it's going to be a continuation of the puppet Joe Biden. It was never his call. It was always Barack Obama's call. It was never his policy. It was always Barack Obama's policy, and that will continue. You think she's going to come up with some extraordinary policy and be able to turn this aircraft carrier around? Hell no, she's not.
No, she'll say, like Trump has the Abraham Accord. She'll be like, yeah, I did this. It's called the Abraham Accords that I came up with. She'll just take Donald Trump policy because that's what they've done the entire time to try to fix things that they destroyed. They can't do it anymore because she's already went out there and promised things that will never come through. And that's the other thing. The idea of introducing a special guest is like everything else they've done. We're going to relieve everybody's student debt. No, you're not.
Right.
We're going to do this. No, you're not. Because you know what? Your constituent base is too stupid to go and look that you're lying to them and go, you know what? That's unconstitutional. How are they going to get that done?
It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter that it's unconstitutional.
I'll give David Hogg the one time that I was like, wow, this guy finally got it, was when he was like, hey, guys, that's kind of unconstitutional when it comes to guns. Can't really do that in Arizona. You guys got to back that off.
Those people know that, too. They know it. It's already been shown over and over and over. It doesn't matter.
The delegates all know it.
Right, but so do the people in the audience.
Don't.
Everybody does.
There's not one liberal that came up to me and actually gave me anything in fact and if they, I don't believe they actually know it.
I think they know it.
Well, then they're really good dumb actors.
No, I think they know it and don't care. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care what the Constitution says
because they want to destroy it.
They see, oh, we're going to get something free for a lot of people. Free is so enticing all the time. It's like the pastor that we played yesterday. He said, if I want to win this campaign, if I were at a school and I were running the campaign at the school, I would say, I'm the free pizza and ice cream candidate.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not the broccoli and carrots candidate. Who wants that? I want it to be sexy. I want it to be free. I'm going to convince people that I can do it. and they're going to vote for me. And they will, and they did. That's the thing. They don't care that it's unconstitutional. It sounds so enticing. We're going to relieve everybody's debt. It is amazing. Their medical debt, their student debt. We're going to relieve it all. It is all going to be taken care of for you. And that's so enticing. Like pizza and ice cream, they're willing to say, okay, I'll vote for you. Let's do that. Tug, Rhino, and Front Office Lowe's on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. When we come back, it's okay, all of a sudden, to be funny again. Well, that's good news, because with all the craziness in the world, we need something to laugh at. Next on the Morning Extra, Tug, Rhino, and Front Office Lowe's. Until 10.
Atlanta radio legends, proud military vets, national network experts are all on Extra 106.3.
It's going to be an interesting couple of months.
With live and local shows in the morning and afternoon, and the biggest conservative hosts in the country throughout the day. We are always here with the latest news and opinions you need.
There's no chance if the media and the Department of Justice and social media are all against you.
No traffic interruptions, no former shock jocks, just Atlanta legends you've turned to for a generation. The conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
We may not have shock jocks here on Extra 106.3, but when I walked out of my house this morning, I had a chill. I mean, it's like 63 degrees now. I think when I left the house this morning at 4:45, it was 61 degrees, and it felt like fall. Fall just around the corner, and we had college football this weekend. So fall is just around the corner, there's no doubt, and leaves are starting to drop out of the trees, starting to fill up your lawn and your driveway. Now's the time to get your home ready with Southern Exteriors. Whether it's cleaning out the gutters, adding gutter covers, or both, Southern Exteriors has got you covered, and they do great work. Gosh, having someone that'll look you in the eye and shake your hand and do exactly what you agreed for them to do is priceless. It's such a easy thing to have happen. And it doesn't happen all the time. That's the thing. If you've used contractors over the years, holy cow, none of them do that. That's why it's so important to work with someone like Southern Exteriors. And if you do any gutter cleaning job, they will give you a free roof inspection. So don't wait. Call Southern Exteriors today, 8779-SOUTHERN. 8779-SOUTHERN, or visit southernexteriors.co. That website is southernexteriors.co. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Hi, this is Ben.
And I'm Walt from Horizon Background Screening. I would say the biggest benefit of working with Horizon is that we have people working in every courthouse throughout the country to be able to pull records and help with those background checks. There's probably not going to be anything that you can throw by us that's either going to shock us, surprise us, or that we can't put together to help you. The best way for people to find us is on our website. A quick Google search of Horizon Background Screening, or look at us at horizonscreening.com.
I'm going to let you in on a little wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half every single month. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile want you to believe you need unlimited data so they can overcharge you. Here's the fact. Most of you are buying way more data than you will ever need. Pure Talk only charges you for data you actually need. Listen to this. For just $25 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data plus mobile hotspot. Do you know what you can do with 5 gigs of data? You can browse the internet for 135 hours, stream 1,000 songs, or watch 10 hours of video. Stop overpaying for wireless and get 5G coverage with Pure Talk. Dial pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk. Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will make switching easy. There's no contract, no activation fee. You can even keep your phone and your number. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk.
Have you heard about Sonder and their Georgia-based Medicare Advantage health plans? Sonder Health Plans is committed to revolutionizing healthcare, making it straightforward, personal, and affordable. Call them and ask if you qualify for their fantastic $400 grocery card offer and $0 premiums. They've even got their own radio show and podcast called Weekend Wellness, dedicated to keeping all Georgians healthy and happy at every age. Call 800-331-2928 or visit SonderHealthPlans.com. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Securing America.
This week marks the third anniversary of the American withdrawal from Afghanistan. The impact of that decision to remove American troops from the country is still being felt. Ohio Republican Congressman Mike Turner, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, discussed the situation with the Fox News Rundown podcast.
We know that the United States and our Western allies are more at risk today because there are terrorist groups and organizations that are based in Afghanistan that are plotting attacks against Americans.
Turner adds that with the Taliban now back in control of Afghanistan, that country is once again a security concern.
It continues to pose the threat that it did before 9/11, which is why America was there to begin with, to prevent that from happening.
The U.S. has had to commit additional resources to the Middle East to both help defend Israel and protect U.S. forces from attacks from Iranian-backed terrorist proxy groups. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Extra 106.3 is proud to be your conservative voice in Atlanta, and we offer a huge slate of original podcasts. Head over to thepodcastpark.com and grab the podcast that you love, all presented by Associated Credit Union.
Doug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra until 10, then Beck, Clay, and Buck, and the local afternoon show. I mean, we got a while till that happens, but local afternoon show with Kimmer starting at 3 p.m. The legendary voice of the Kimmer. The only place you'll get it's here on Extra.
Just going to suggest that maybe we should have a list of words you can't say.
What, legendary?
No. That one's totally appropriate. But like last week, I remember hearing them throw around a particular set of words going, you really can't say that on air, guys.
Oh, you're talking about the Kimmer show?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they say they're filthy in the afternoon.
I know.
Filthy.
You just need a whole list of guys, we'd like to keep our license. Can we not call people these names? Just this handful.
That's right.
There's 100 other ones, 1,000 other ones you can say.
I love it. Just getting edgy in the afternoon.
Just dirty, angry old men.
We don't have shock jocks, but by God, we got the Kimmer.
Yeah.
Which may be just
Who may be
as
the
shocking.
shock jock.
Yeah, maybe just as shocking. I love it. Comedy.
Just saying, when I'm doing the yard work and I go, what was that? And not once, but then after one of them says it, the other one reiterates. I go, both of you can't say that.
This is right. I love it. Just pushing the envelope in the afternoon. Nobody gives a freaking hot damn. Tug, Rhino, and Lowe's.
Wait till we get shut down.
I know, right? Awesome. Seriously. Just painful. It'll be painful when it all happens. We have all these people going like, what happened to that little station? We have a little engine that could.
Well,
it was just
the afternoon show kept cursing.
That's right. It kept using foul language, vile. A bunch of freaking crazy people in the afternoon. Comedy. It used to be off limits. You there for a while, comedy wasn't even funny anymore. And now all of a sudden, a man that I respect, I disagree with vehemently, but I at least respect him, is Jon Stewart. And the work that he does on behalf of our men and women in uniform, our veterans, is, unparalleled. He does extraordinary work. Again, I don't agree with him on about half the things that he says, maybe even more. But when it comes to that stuff, we absolutely overlap. And I couldn't help but notice that he was saying the things that you aren't allowed to say, or at least you weren't.
They had a guy yelling, "Screw the billionaires," followed immediately by a very happy billionaire.
Talking about the DNC.
Okay, if it's our billionaire. I don't like billionaires, but he's all right.
He's ours.
They had guys making fun of people for going to Yale. And a bunch of people who went to Yale. The Democrats had people who prosecuted sexual predators and...
Bill Clinton, the picture of Bill Clinton, the sexual predator.
There goes that booking.
He's never going to get booked by the Clintons.
It was so funny just to see that play out. We talked about it last week, where you had Tim Waltz basically talking about how, none of my students ever went to Yale.
Well, that's not anything to brag about.
That's not braggadocio, man. It's I'm really proud of the friends that I have that went to Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting back saying, you know what, I never went to school with anybody who didn't go to the Ivy League.
I went to a junior college, and that's all I was willing to do because they're the ones that aren't fancy. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the way it came off. Like they're like dumbing everything down and then throwing their hands to their sides, bragging about it.
But that's what this entire 4 days of the DNC and really the entire presidency of President Biden and Kamala Harris is lie after lie, or saying that one side was guilty of everything that they continued to do. And that was the irony of the entire DNC, was talking about, if he gets in office, well, he'll weaponize the DOJ against his political opponents. And you're sitting there going, are you serious right now?
Like Jon Stewart, and if he would have taken it a step further, he'd be like, as they weaponized the DOJ.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I think a lot of the American people see, and why, a lot of undecided voters are going to look at the RFK thing and go, man, you know what? They're not wrong.
There's something here. I think you're exactly right. And I saw it play out.
Not enough of them, but
is there? It
in
just
a close
depends.
election,
I got to tell you, man, it doesn't take a whole lot. But here's the thing: just because people, and there was boatloads of people saying it on social media, which I know social media is not real for the most part. But you couldn't help but notice the amount of Democrats. Like the people that pay for their blue check mark and say, "Yes, I am a Democrat." And I am now voting for, Donald Trump. And I couldn't imagine myself 6 weeks ago saying this. And now all of a sudden, I am.
Well, this continues the comedy. Who would have thought? Because the thought process with us was, all right, maybe you go and get a Tim Scott as your VP so that you can solidify the black vote. Well, maybe you select a woman because you want to be able to grab a woman. It's taken RFK Jr. to be that person, again, not as a VP, but to tell Democrats it's okay to vote with this person because you know that there's something wrong.
And then to take it a step further, when they did the, I don't even know how you'd say it, the MAHA, Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. There hasn't been, because I know what Donald Trump is. I know his policies are. And again, I'm in favor of bringing that back and having that occur here. But the things that I am personally passionate about reside more with RFK Jr. And so when he's talking about getting America healthy again, and talking about some of the problems that we have institutionally within the SAD diet, standard American diet, it's killing us, and it's doing that by design.
And he laid it out so eloquently.
We go back to when he was doing push-ups and stuff with his shirt off. And
dude's all cut up.
Like, he's jacked. Like, he's really taking care of his body at his age. And it was funny because somebody had a picture of Bill Gates with his big belly walking out. And, like, this one is worried, saying that he's worried about your health and will control your food. And this one's showing you his body and saying, hey, this is what we need to do. But the reality is we need to look at, I love that RFK Jr. brought up the FDA and the others. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But the health of America is very important, and taking control of your own health rather than allowing the government to try to take control of your health, I think should wake a lot of people up.
Well, I would have hoped that it was 2020 when you realized you were being told things that were not in your best interest. I still remember, and I put it aside just so I always would have it on my phone. I remember when we were in 2020, 2021, and I asked, it was like a thing going on Twitter. And I remember this guy who was representing himself as works in ER, he does emergency, does these EMT work. And I go, so when you have somebody who's sick with COVID, what do you give them? And he's like, nothing. We don't give them anything. We don't. And like bragging about it. Yeah. The fact that non-care was care. If you don't know from 2020 and 2021 that the government not only doesn't know what to tell you, but they're going to tell you things that are completely against your own self-interest. That is what RFK Jr. was basically explaining to you. It's like, look at what is happening systemically within the health of our country. If Donald Trump is going to make it a priority, I'm with him.
Because he's making good, sound decisions. Kind of like he did when he ran the country 4 years ago. Seems like maybe we would want to choose that again.
It also kind of goes to show, no matter what they say about a dictator, this man is talking to other people outside of his party.
And ones that he don't even fully agree with, which I think is terrific, man, because I don't agree with a lot of people that I still get along with and have common ground.
If you're talking about Tulsi Gabbard, helping him get through debates and talking to him about issues, or RFK Jr. and all of that, and you continue down that rhetoric of the Project 2025, well, I'll ask you this. Why didn't he get any of those people who signed on to Project 25 and wrote it to be a part of?
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
And that's why there's such a joke with there's such a... They hate him so much, they just make up lie after lie after lie. I mean, how many times has Project 2025 just been shut down? We passed the agenda on night one. We passed the agenda.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah.
Stop it already.
Well, but it's
fake.
It works though.
Of course
it
works.
gets people riled up and scared to death over something that has no bear. It's like if you and I, wrote some sort of outline of here's what we want Trump to do, and then the mainstream media grabbed it and ran with it, saying here's what Trump's going to do. No, that's what Tug, Rhino, and Lowe says they want him to do.
This is something, and you always get a piece of this. You always can kind of to feel the temperature by typically on Twitter when I have people will go back at me or say something weird or out of nowhere come up with something, and I go, okay, that's what the Sunday shows were talking about. Sure enough, I get the, hey, what about Project 2025? I was like, I think that they counteracted the RFK Jr. announcement by going back hard after 2025 yesterday morning and tried to make that into the counter of like, maybe we can turn it back to this. I'm like, sorry, brother, nobody paying attention to this.
That's right, it's a tidal wave.
But Jan 6, Project 2025. Jan 6, Project 2025ve.
So in the rear view.
Project 2025, a real thing? Something made up by the... This is what typically happens. Where I know what was going on the Sunday morning shows without even having to watch them.
That's exactly right. Man, they lay themselves out, don't they, Rhino? It's just so clear what's going on.
Your talking points filter to me, and I recognize them for what they are.
RFK Jr. joined. Hakeem Jeffries said, Project 2025 will blah, blah, blah. Like, what?
When we come back on Extra 106.3 after a Fox News update, RFK Jr. says more Democrats, some that will shock you, will be joining Trump and the new Unity Party soon. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the meltdown. It is going to be so fantastic and glorious. Next on Extra 106.3.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's the camera. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
No, I didn't vote for Trump the first time around. I voted Libertarian. I usually do. Will I vote for him this time? Well, I'll say this. No way in hell I would ever vote for Kamala Harris, the most left-wing radical presidential ticket in my lifetime.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app. Diamonds Direct Atlanta is now open. The nation's fastest growing jewelry store now has a location right here in Buckhead. Shopping for the perfect ring to pop the question? Or maybe an everyday diamond tennis bracelet? The experts at Diamonds Direct are sure to have exactly what you're looking for, no matter the occasion. With the lowest direct importer pricing, you can expect the best selection of certified diamonds at unmatched prices, all within a luxury showroom atmosphere that makes you feel right at home. Come see what other jewelers are trying to replicate. Diamonds Direct's unbeatable after-the-sale guarantees and warranties are the best you can find. Free cleanings, sizing, polishing, accent diamond replacement for the lifetime of your purchase. If that's not enough, they also offer a 110% upgrade policy for you to use as often as you'd like on your diamond engagement ring, pendant, or studs. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, come see how Diamonds Direct is reinvigorating the jewelry industry at their brand new Buckhead showroom. When you want to have complete confidence in your jewelry buying experience, shop with the experts at Diamonds Direct. Now open on the corner of Maple Drive Northeast and Peachtree.
When you buy a Subaru from Subaru of Gwinnett, you're buying more than a vehicle. You're buying safety for your family and something that will last a long, long time. In other words, you're buying trust. For a limited time, you can celebrate amazing offers on the all-new Forester, Crosstrek, or Outback during the Subaru A Lot to Love event now through September 3rd. Plus, you can enjoy special financing on select new 2024 Outback models. And you'll love more than just your new Subaru. You'll love the dedicated staff at Subaru of Gwinnett with some of the best service specialists in the area and a team you know you can trust. You'll ride with peace of mind knowing that Subaru of Gwinnett has your back. During the Subaru A Lot to Love event, you'll find that Subaru model you've always dreamed about at a price that makes that dream come true. But you'll need to get in by September 3rd to take advantage. We'll make it easy. Just start with a test drive. And before you know it, you'll be in the Subaru you love. Start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com. Then stop by on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth. SubaruofGwinnett.com.
This is House Call for Health. It's the last week of August, which means there's still time to highlight National Eye Exam Month. And it's exactly what it means. A reminder to get your eyes checked regularly and not neglect your vision. American Eye Associates say it's extremely important to make regular appointments because many vision-stealing diseases and conditions progress very slowly and can be asymptomatic, meaning you don't even know it's happening. You should be getting checked at every age, but more frequently after age 65, when certain diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma become more common. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says if you're having any of the following problems, go see an eye doctor. Decreased vision, draining of the eye pain, double vision, floaters, which are little specks that appear to float between your eyes, circles around lights, or flashes of light. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health on Lisa Brady, Fox News.
The Kimmer Show is only on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
It was 1876. Thomas Edison received a patent for his mimeograph machine. The ones with that purple ink that usually you can't read, but yeah, the sniff test.
You'd smell them.
Smelling those mimeograph sheets.
And we got high as kites.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. The Kimmer Show is back every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. only on WFOM Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. Extra 106.3 FM.
Trading blows as ceasefire talks failed to produce a deal. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News. The Middle East remains on edge after Israel and Hezbollah traded a major barrage of rockets over the Israel-Lebanon border Sunday. Fox's Jackie Ibanez has more.
Israel says it carried out preemptive strikes against the Iranian-backed group prior to the showdown. The IDF claims it detected a large-scale attack was imminent. Both Iran and Hezbollah have been threatening retaliation against Israel for weeks now, following the assassinations of a top Hamas and Hezbollah leader. This all coming as ceasefire and hostage talks continue between Israel and Hamas in Cairo. A U.S. official says they have been constructive. Negotiators are trying to bridge gaps between the warring sides in hopes it will prevent a wider regional conflict. Talks are expected to continue over the coming days.
Russia hit Ukraine with a massive overnight drone and missile attack. At least 4 people are dead. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
Power and water appeared to be the target, with supplies disrupted in the capital, Kyiv. Explosions continued to ring out there through the morning rush hour. Ukraine's Air Force says multiple groups of Russian drones were used to assault all regions of the country. They were followed up by cruise and ballistic missiles. NATO aircraft in Poland were activated since the strikes came close to the Polish border. The U.S. Embassy issued a warning last week of an elevated risk of attack around Ukrainian Independence Day, which was marked on Saturday. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
With the 2024 presidential tickets for Democrats and Republicans officially set, the candidates setting their sights on key battleground states this week. Former President Trump is going to be in Michigan today, where he's going to speak to thousands of troops at the National Guard Association's annual business meeting. Vice President Harris kicks off a bus tour through southern Georgia this week. America is listening to Fox News.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten it.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. Rated PG-13. May not be suitable for children under 13.
It took 100 years, but finally there's a conservative voice you can trust. Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
There is a new word that is off limits, a new word that you cannot say because the folks at Slate.com think it's offensive. They think it's too negative, and they have a suggestion for you instead of saying empty nester. Or empty nest. Like when the kids have moved off, you know, and mama and daddy's at home alone or you know, without. Somebody brought it up to me the other day, like, oh man, what's it like being with empty nest?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we miss Jacob. It's
it's cool to see him go off in college and doing well. But yeah, the house is quiet. But I did not take any offense to it whatsoever. But the people at Slate said, instead, you should start saying, well, what's it like in the next chapter?
Shut up.
Which is fine. But, are you just looking for something to be offended by?
Yes.
Are you just looking? Hey, and maybe if I could start a conversation, I'll get a whole bunch of clicks on my website or a whole bunch of clicks on slate.com.
Pretty much.
Of social media clicks. I'm going to bring this up. It's just PC culture. Even though it's dying a slow and painful death, as we heard in that last segment, where Jon Stewart all of a sudden is not afraid to call out the Democrats, is not afraid to make fun of people that are on the don't make fun of list. I think...
Do you think it's actually dying? Or well, let's be honest, if Kamala Harris were to pull this out, I think they go full blast on all of it.
Yeah, but right now we're in that wait and see area, because right now Jon Stewart's not afraid, we're not afraid, and John's obviously a leftist, and he's not afraid to poke fun at him. So yeah, I think if she's elected, then they go balls to the walls.
Well, it goes back into the Bushes, Homer Simpson style every now and then. When it just becomes a little bit too crazy for the mainstream.
Yeah.
And then it pops up out of nowhere and it's like, ha-ha, I'm DEI.
Here I am, I'm back.
And you're like, wait, hold on. What are you talking about? And it's always disguised as something new, but it always is the same stuff anyway.
Yeah, a bunch of clowns. When I read it this morning, I was like, are you kidding me? Empty nester? That's what you're offended
So
by?
offensive.
How could you say this? And don't continue it either.
Authoritarianism finds its way back into the culture, but it always is under a different guise and a different name. But it's the same stuff. It's what you can and cannot say. And so there's certain things that we adopt, and then there's certain things that we say, okay, that's too far. It's just a matter of polite society, what they decide to do.
Yeah, man. And I'm okay with polite society. I mean, I'm a member of polite society. I try to be as polite as I can to anybody and everybody I meet. But I'm not looking for something to be offended by.
Not at all.
I'm not looking to be a victim. I'm not looking to be offended. And I hope most people feel that way too. I think they do.
I shouldn't have to use the word or the phrase or the term, the R word, because some people need to be told that that's what they are every now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's where society has gone to. It's, we don't do these sorts of things. We've gotten to the point, and we were real close. Thank you, Ozempic. Where calling people fat was somehow on the level as the N word. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what they tried to make it.
It still is.
They tried to play that game.
Yeah, I mean, they I saw, what's that big girl, Olivia, that was at the DNC, and Laura Loomer had said something like, hey, but you should take care of your heart health, and obesity is not good for you, and why are you fat? I'm not fat shaming you. I'm telling you, and obviously Laura Loomer is a very controversial, polarizing is a better word, but her just saying that triggered her to say, you're fat shaming. No, I'm not. I'm worried about your health. That's all.
Let's face it. Lizzo is even dropping weight to get healthy. She's like, this is a bad idea. Maybe I shouldn't be living life this way any longer.
And the backup dancers were coming out in droves saying, well, she makes us make sure we're in shape. She makes us, if we put on any weight, she points it out and shames us.
So good
woman.
for her for dropping weight.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, look, there wouldn't be a Ozempic craze if people didn't want to drop weight because they're not getting it for what it was supposed to be. Right. They're looking for a magic pill to lose weight. And every single person, listen, I worked with Weight Watchers and, I counseled a lot of people. And the one thing that I would ask them, if I could give you a pill right now and you would be skinny, would you take it? Yes. Every single one of them said yes. Why? Because no matter how much they said they felt comfortable in their skin and they just wanted to drop a little bit of weight, if I gave them the approach, that was a shield, and that's all that is for them.
Well, and that was part of what happened on Friday when RFK Jr. Was deciding, hey, I'm not suspending, I'm not ending, I am supporting Donald Trump. Here's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And part of it, when he talked about it, was the idea that you have doctors that are prescribing Ozempic to obese children that are as young as 6 and 7 years old.
It's freaking out of this world insane.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely insane. And then he went on Sunday to say, hey, there's more people. I'm not the only one, and maybe you'll be shocked by some of the people joining the Unity Party to defeat the Democrat oligarchy.
campaigning actively. I think President Trump is going to make a series of announcements about other Democrats who are joining his campaign, and I want to make America healthy again, and so does President Trump. So those are objectives. The Wall Street Journal may be worried about shareholder value for pharmaceutical companies, and I think, I talked specifically to President Trump about that issue, and he said that he wanted to leave as his legacy healthy children, and that he was unconcerned about the other implications.
Find me someone to tear that idea apart. I can't think of anybody that's going to even touch it with a 10-foot pole. It won't be brought up again. It'll never be talked about, at least from the other side, because what's wrong with I want to leave our kids healthier or in a better position to be healthy in America, and RFK Jr. is going to help me do that.
Well, and it filters throughout the entirety of society. And one of the things that he brought up was he talked about the amount of teens that are on medication for ADHD, depression, any of the additional symptoms where, in this case, when I say it filters through the rest of society, we can't fulfill our military quotas in part because our young people are on so many drugs. You're basically having to tell them if you want to join the military, you need to get off of this stuff, and that's problematic for young people.
It is very problematic for young people, and it's become an excuse to really just shape Big Pharma to the way it is today. A lot of these drugs don't need to be used on kids. What we do need to do is to do better research into speaking with our children or raising our children correctly. I mean, that's a way to kind of alleviate a lot of these. There are always going to be things that kids need certain medicines for.
Sure.
Okay, like asthma, stuff like that.
Yeah, my son has it.
Yeah, there are certain things that we can go ahead and look at and say, hey, maybe some exercise, maybe some fitness, maybe we need to bring this back. How about instead of, in our schools, taking kids who have energy problems and taking them away from recess? That's stupid. Let them work out their energy. Let them do things that will be beneficial for them health-wise. But we don't do that. Instead, it's so easy and quick to say, ADHD, Ritalin, go.
Yeah, here's your pill. Where you can do some of the research on this stuff, and you'll find that, especially when it comes to minor issues, I'm not talking about extreme, points of depression or things along those lines. What I'm talking about is when you have people that have minor issues, sometimes just getting out in the sun would do a big thing for them.
Couldn't hurt.
Vitamin D levels. There's little things that the body needs that we are not taking care of. And so, I'm with Robert Kennedy. I firmly believe that when he talks about us focusing on our children, and eventually that will then come our way, if you're doing so, then you're going to see it filter throughout the remainder of the country. I bring up, 4 years ago when my wife and I decided, all right, let's change the diet around, let's do some different stuff. We haven't had one time where we've been to the doctor in the last 4 years and they've done anything other than mark our chart and say, y'all going to keep doing this? Okay, good. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. It's a great place to be. But even if you look at a lot of dietitians all of a sudden and you're starting to see it, like everything that the FDA and these people told you to eat or not to eat was completely wrong. Like they said, well, don't eat eggs. It gives you this high cholesterol. Right. Now people are brave enough to step out and say, you know what? You can eat as many eggs as you want. It's actually great. Protein's great. And obviously for you, it's a very different situation. Your body don't digest the animal fats like other folks do. But in that case, dude, red meat, good. Eating butter is okay.
But here's what's wild about it. You have these different industries, and they're all competing with one another. So you'll have the milk industry that'll decide, let's launch a campaign against the egg industry. Let's launch a campaign against chicken. And so, remember, we have all grown up with, the other white meat. Okay? Like, there was ads that would tell you this. And in the meantime, they're all funding the FDA to tell you what's healthy and what's not. So there's always a new study that came out to tell you, you've had too many eggs. First off, you need cholesterol. Your brain requires cholesterol in order to work efficiently. The problem is well, how much exactly of the cholesterol? Well, that's different for everybody. But the fact that we've had this long-running standard of, well, it can't be more than 250. It can't be more than 200. 300, you're going to die. We got to put you on a pill for the rest of your life. This is a medical game. It's a medical shell game.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why I love what RFK Jr. is saying and doing, and I love the fact that other Democrats are coming on board with Donald Trump to hopefully become a unity party and help continue this. Whether it's the health of our children, mentally or physically, I think you'll get a lot out of speaking across the aisle and talking to them. Jillian Michaels is one of those people who, when it comes to weight loss, taking care of kids, taking care of health, and making people healthy again, she's always been upright and honest with everybody, telling them what's going to happen to their body and how it's going to shut down if they're overweight.
If you don't know, she's from The Biggest Loser and one of the biggest health people in the whole country.
Yeah, and she is one of those people that, again, is a Democrat and, maybe more liberal, but has started to see the way and say, hold on one second, we're really going down the wrong path. We're not hitting on issues. You're attacking women. She's starting to come around, and I think you see a lot of that they're all getting back to, hey, let's look at what's really going to help. Because right now, I don't think people believe that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are really there to help the people. They're there to help themselves, and they're here to spread socialistic ideas so that people will fall in line with them. The Democrats that are tired of that are starting to come over to the Trump side.
The best puppets you could possibly have is what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are. The best puppets you can possibly have. And that's what RFK says, too. We'll play that audio a little later in the show, too. I don't know if y'all heard about this. I'm sure he did. The fact is, soon as RFK Jr. endorses Donald Trump, they pull his Secret Service detail. It's unreal. This dude obviously, the family history should tell you why this man needs Secret Service protection. Donald Trump speaking up was the reason that he got it. The minute he endorses Donald Trump, gone.
I would say he probably needs it more now than he did before, because there are going to be a lot of people who... Democrats are losing their mind over this. I mean, the smear campaign now on RFK Jr. has started right away. They went to his family who, they're off the rockers. They don't matter. I don't care what. They can reuse that all they want. But I feel like he's in more danger now than he ever was. So if I'm Donald Trump, I make sure you're sticking with me. You're staying around. We'll get the security that you need. And I'm sure he'll get the security he needs. And right now... in all honesty, do I really like the Secret Service?
Yeah,
it's all right.
Private security is probably safer to begin with.
This is another one of those areas where I know what the talking points that occurred on Sunday, because when this news broke, the Democrats and the machine looked bad. Joe Biden looked terrible. The entire system looked awful for deciding, well, we're going to pull your detail then. There you go against us. We'll show you.
Yeah.
And, of course, the talking point, and this was brought up to me on Twitter, like, well, what's the big deal? He's not running anymore. I was like, well, neither are the Bush twins.
Yeah, right.
All right? Neither's Joe.
Yeah.
All right? That doesn't qualify for this person doesn't require safety when it comes to they are a public figure that is part of a campaign. That's what we're talking about.
And a public figure, as Rhino alluded to, that has now endorsed public enemy number one. So if there's somebody gunning for public enemy number one, they're probably gunning for him, too, for endorsing him.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you roll up on Jill Biden and try and get an autograph?
Yeah.
And see how quickly you're stopped by Secret Service.
Exactly right. You would never, the opportunity would never be there.
Isn't Jill, is she not running?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You see the mentality here? You see how ridiculous it is? Like, well, he's not running any longer. No, that is not the way we quantify this.
But how easy is it to say that, though? It takes no thought. It's like, oh, he's dropped out. It's over. It's done and over with. It's nothing. He needs nothing
simple
anymore.
mind, simply amused.
Absolutely right.
All right?
Man.
That's just how they operate.
Right. Yeah, it was dirty and disgusting, and look, I think Rhino was right when you say I'm not sure that the Secret Service is doing you any favors anyway. Did you see what happened back in Butler, Pennsylvania?
Right.
Did you happen to notice what happened there and all the failures and all the holes in the security detail? And now, the boots on the ground, because the communication was so poor, they were doing the best they could with a poor situation they were handed by the people at the top, the people running the show, the people that are the most corrupt, just like in the Pentagon. It's the same thing. Anything above boots on the ground, I have questions for to begin with. There's just nothing good that happens when you're I guess in direct opposition of the people in charge.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you see how quick they turn on people. they turned on him so quick and pulled that back. And I love that Carlos brought that up because it was something this weekend that people are like, wow, that is like a weapon. If you're not with us, you're against us, and we're going to remove all safety around you. That's a scary thought
we
when
want
you
you
break
to
it
know.
down.
Yeah, we want you to feel that fear.
Yeah, we want you to feel that fear. And again, I think that he'll be fine. I think that everybody else around him will figure out, hey, how do we keep him safe? Because I think you do need to keep him safe now more than ever because people are losing their mind over this. But in reality, yes, I think right now, he doesn't need Secret Service. Hire him private security. He'll be in much better hands.
So I went down the Alex Jones route over the weekend. Decided, I'm like, all right, this guy keeps nailing some stuff because he was the first one who told you, all right, Robert Kennedy Jr. is going to bow out of this thing and he's going to endorse Trump. He told you earlier in the week. And everyone's like, no, what are you talking about? And by Wednesday or Thursday, we start getting wind, hey, I think this is really going to happen. And then Friday it goes down. But he flat out was bringing up on his show, and granted, it is the land of crazy, but every now and then you got to put your crazy hat on.
Yeah.
Dude flat out was like, if anyone needs a whole lot more protection now, it's Trump. It's Kennedy Jr., it's Elon Musk.
Yeah,
he's like, I told them all that you need to be protected in a way because what you're going to now have is you're backing these globalists into a corner. And I've called them globalists for the better part of several years, saying how it's nationalism versus globalism.
Yeah, and it is.
And you are in a scenario now where these people are on the ropes. What do you think they're going to do? Because power is the most important thing to them.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Like, what is the big event that's going to happen between now? What's the October surprise going to be? Yeah. Because now they have to figure out, all the momentum has swung back. That whole DNC was wiped out in one announcement over this weekend. And we did. We talked about it, didn't we? We said if he makes this announcement, everything the DNC said just kind of falls to the wayside, and it has.
Gone.
What do they do now? How do they respond? Because they need something big.
Yeah. You know what? Another thing that drove me crazy? Watching the Kennedy family turn on RFK. I mean, they'd already turned on him, but to absolutely say that I'm disgusted by my brother's obscene embrace of Donald Trump, that's from Kerry Kennedy. These people are absolutely nuts. They are the cabal, it almost seems.
Well, they're still connected to the Democrat Party. He is not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what it is at this point.
Does it... I don't know, man. I just don't think I could turn on my family member like that. You know, if my sister came out and said, you know what, I'm supporting Kamala Harris. I would disagree with her, maybe even vehemently disagree with her, but I wouldn't hate her. I wouldn't call her obscene.
No.
I wouldn't call her names, you know? It's wild. It is absolutely wild to see the Kennedys and the Democrats be, well, what they are. I guess we've always known it. When we come back on Extra 106.3, we'll knock out the headlines. And RFK's running mate, Nicole Shanahan, is warning of Kamala's brand of communism. Next on the Morning Extra, get the app. It is the best way to listen, so you can listen live and on demand wherever you download your apps. Just search for XTRA 106.3 FM Atlanta.
The legend Neil Bortz is live every week with Atlanta legend The Kimmer.
On TikTok, it only takes for teenagers. Now remember, teenagers generally do not have rational thought capabilities.
For sure, yes.
They think they know it all. They think they can think their way through it, but they are physically and mentally incapable of thinking rationally.
They're just not done yet. They're getting here, but they're not quite done. They're really not quite done.
No, they need to stay in the oven just a while.
Well, a couple of years, 3-4 years, and you're fine. 2, 3, 4 years.
But anyway, it takes 10 minutes for TikTok to radically change the mindset of a teenager. 10 minutes of reading this crap on TikTok, and they can fully indoctrinate a teenager.
Bortz and The Kimmer are only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Hey, it's Tug from my friends, the Frost family of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about their family's company all the time here on Extra 106.3. First Liberty has helped hundreds of small businesses grow by saying yes when the big banks say no. On Wall Street, opportunities to earn big returns are everywhere. But for Main Street investors, those opportunities are hard to find. Until now. Our First Liberty notes are now open to qualified Main Street investors, paying interest rates of 8 to 13% while helping fuel the growth of small businesses right here in Georgia. With a few basic qualifications and with as little as $25,000, qualified Main Street investors just like you can earn an 8 to 13% interest rate. If this is you, they'd love to hear from you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and consider joining the First Liberty family today. That's FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, The Marketing Madmen. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Madmen every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Xtra 106.3.
The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets kick off the 2024 season Saturday, August 31st as they take on Georgia State in Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field, presented by Renaissance Bank. Into the end zone! Touchdown, Jackets! The tailgate starts at 4 p.m. when North Avenue transforms into a hell of a block party driven by Hyundai, including a free concert at 6 p.m. Tickets start at only $30 and RamblinWreck.com/tickets. Sting 'em.
Media Minute with Howard Kurtz.
It's not shocking that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would drop out of the race and endorse Donald Trump, something he vowed he would never do. But his attacks on the media, talked about ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined, giving him only 2 live interviews, running a deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate audios, defamatory smears, government mouthpieces. The reason he got so little coverage was he was always a fringe candidate with no hope of winning a state. And, bizarre episodes such as the Great Bear Carcass cover-up. And yet, here he is blaming the media, scapegoating the media for the fact that he got very little coverage. He tried to make a deal with both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, trading promise of a job in a future administration for his endorsement. They didn't bite. He gave up. He endorsed Trump anyway. His family says that's a betrayal. With your Media Minute, Howie Kurtz, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, August 26th. A 16-year-old from Rome was taken into custody after 4 men were found dead at a Pleasant Grove park in Whitfield County. Deputies received a call of shots being fired and arrived at the park in Dalton to find 4 men dead, a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 17-year-old. The GBI said they believe multiple weapons were involved. The 16-year-old was charged with 4 counts of felony murder. Investigators are asking the public to help locate an SUV and a dark-colored hatchback, saying the vehicles would have sustained gunshot damage. The investigation is ongoing. An investigation into contraband being smuggled into the Fulton County Jail has led to more arrests of jail contractors. The contractors were arrested for smuggling $1 million worth of drugs into the facility. 6 people were arrested and 5 more have warrants out for their arrest and are being searched by authorities. Protesters gathered outside the Fulton County Jail yesterday calling for the resignation of Sheriff Patrick Labatt. And in sports, the Braves couldn't complete the sweep of the Washington Nationals yesterday, falling 5-1 at Truist Park. Matt Olson hit his 22nd homer of the season in the loss. The Braves now head to the Twin Cities to take on the Minnesota Twins. The 3-game series will begin tonight at 7:40 with Max Fried on the mound for the Braves. You can catch all the action on our sister station, 680 The Fan.
So I want to tell you something that's happening next month. We're about, I don't know, what is it? Not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. Smyrna Public Safety Foundation's Hot Rods and Heroes Car Show. Get out there, see some sweet cars that people have put on display so you can check out. I bet there'll be Trans Ams. Something tells me. There'll be General Lees out there. There'll just be cool cars. Some old Corvettes. Man, and I love those. I don't know if they'll have Pintos, but they should. Somebody should bring out a souped-up Pinto. I think that'd be awesome. If you have one, it's only $20, and you can register it at extra1063.com. But we're going to be out there from 10 until 3 with those guys. Smyrna First Baptist Church
there on Church Street in Smyrna, and it benefits, as I mentioned, the Smyrna Public Safety Foundation. They're going to be doing the Battle of the Badges softball game. That is the fire department versus the police department. The last few games, the fire department has taken the lead. So I hear the police department's putting in some extra practice to get ready for this game next Saturday, a week from Saturday.
We have very important stuff to cover, so I'm just going to tell you that at the end of this segment, you have wronged me, and I plan on dealing with you.
Oh, my.
We're going to talk about it.
Lord, I didn't mean to do that.
But at the end of the segment.
Okay.
Not now.
Okay.
We have important stuff to get to.
Yes, we do. But I don't want to wrong anybody. It makes me feel, oh, my God, I'm
You
nervous.
have wronged me.
I feel nervous about doing the rest of the segment.
I am hurt by this.
Well, this is terrible news. Well, I apologize ahead of time. Goodness gracious.
You can't pre-apologize if you don't know what you've done?
Well, but if I'm already apologetic, that's just, I never want to do that. Anyway, we'll get there. But first, let's start with Nicole Shanahan. She is RFK's running mate, or was. I guess it was now, since he's suspended the campaign in most of these states. I guess they're still on the ballot in a few. But she's talking about Kamala's brand of communism with Adam Carolla. Check this out.
I think Kamala Harris is dangerous to me because she is the ultimate puppet for an organization that has, I believe, since President Obama, not actually run real people. They have selected amongst a very small group of individuals that they can control and dictate policy over. I don't think Kamala Harris is somebody who will sit here and tell you how she feels. I think that human capacity of hers has long gone.
Yes.
I think that what she now represents is corporatism, a huge amount of cronyism, and I do believe that she is using messaging. And this is the part that worries me the most, is that she uses messaging in a way to get populations of young, unknowing, innocent people to join her on these false virtue signal ambitions and actually take on policies that will eventually really hurt them in the future. My mother is from communist China. I grew up hearing about what the famine was like in communist China.
Right. Well, she's going to do price controls at supermarkets, so we don't have to worry about that.
That is exactly how you get to a famine. I mean, this is communism 101.
That is Kamala's brand of communism, and she's dead on. It's like the pastor that we had last week, and I brought him up last hour too, the one that says, I'm the pizza and ice cream candidate, elect me, and I'm going to make everything so sweet and so good. But the people over there that are like the broccoli and asparagus candidates don't sound as sexy, they don't taste as good, but they're actually good for you.
Price controls, as we brought up a couple of weeks ago, when you institute that, you are going down the road of hardcore authoritarianism, the start of communism, where not only are you controlling the means of production, but then you're also setting prices along with it. And eventually it then turns into the means of consumption, to where I'm controlling prices, I'm controlling production, but then I'm also telling you what you can and cannot have and the amount you can and cannot have. That's how you get to famine. That's what she's talking about.
Which is the exact opposite of what the United States is, right? You can have as much as you want. Yeah. Whenever you want it, as long as you can buy it. I mean, and that's the beauty. You have the opportunity, or at least you did, in America, to use your God-given talents to better yourself and have more if you want it.
But the theme of this entire DNC right now is that you should not want for more than you actually need. And they've continued to push that. Well, yes, of course. Well, the elites will always have, because you know what? They're more important than you. And the Democrats have shown you this. Whether you look at Stacey Abrams not wearing a mask while she made everybody else wear a mask, that might have cost her the election. But the Democrats continue to go down this path where they let their people know, and they try to use their strength of joy, the obviously Nazi socialist campaign as well, but they're using that to try to say, you'll be joyful if you have less and you have the same as everyone else, and that we attack the people who have made something of themselves, because again, they attacked J.D. Vance and Donald Trump for building onto what they may have already had. Obviously, J.D. didn't have anything but built something on his own, and they're upset about that.
So you'll hear, and you can always hear Jesse Kelly 6 to 9 on these airwaves. So he was one of the first people that would bring something to the attention that I always thought to myself, like, man, this is always so cool. So Yuri Bezmenov used to be a KGB operative, and he went on like 60 Minutes and a couple of different stations and a couple of different newscasts back in the 80s, 40 years ago. He was telling you about what the long-term plan for the communists was when it came to dealing with America. And so, again, Jesse Kelly's played it on his show on a regular basis, but one of the things that it goes into is that if we can demoralize the American people, then you can get them to buy into anything. When you talk about that DNC, all I was doing was looking around and saying, how demoralized are these groups of people that they're willing to accept any sort of programming? Yuri Bezmenov told you, even when we put it in your face, you won't believe it because you'll only believe what I've told you to believe once you're demoralized.
And when you have the majority of the media preaching the same message, so eventually that bleeds. If you're told the same thing, like if you raise a kid and you're like, you're stupid, you're not capable of doing anything, I hate you. What does that kid believe? Because they hear it over and over and over. Right. And the media is taking that message that they heard from the DNC, and are running with it right now, trying to get everyone to buy it.
Well, and this is where I think there's such a crazy slippery slope, because you had the former First Lady telling you, want for nothing and make sure you don't want too much. And as long as you do, then you'll have joy.
You'll have joy.
The whole talk that Rhino keeps pointing out there, like it's all about joy. But think about it, Rhino. It's all about joy in the fact that accept less. And so when you just get a little morsel, you'll be so happy.
You'll be so happy. You'll have a job. You'll have one of the 3 million homes we built. Now, don't look further than that statement.
We're going to
build you.
Don't want more than that.
Right. Don't go into like how we will afford to get those 3 million homes, or what would happen if you default on that, who owns it, or don't look who we've asked to build it, Blackstone and others that are financial people that are involved in the government and a government institution. That's why I think what RFK Jr. talked about, the FDA, the CDC, and all of that, it's eye-opening to a lot of people. And that's what's going to be important.
And absolutely should be, but I'm glad you hit on the Blackstone thing, because that whole crony capitalism, because that used to be laid at the feet of Republican.
BlackRock. Yeah.
BlackRock.
Did I say Blackstone?
I don't know.
I might have.
You may. I don't know. I probably said it wrong. But regardless, BlackRock. That's the crony capitalism that they used to anchor the Republicans with. Now, all of a sudden, it's celebrated as an asset of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, we are at the point now where it's totally switched. Because I just remember growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was, okay, the Democrats are the party of the people. They have blue dog Democrats. You know what? We even have people that are physically conservative, but you know what? They tend to vote Democrat because they're liberal in terms of how they feel about their lifestyle. Okay, that's all out the window. And so you now have this corporate oligarchy that has chosen the party that best represents them, and that's now the Democrat Party. It's not the party of the working people anymore.
It really has flipped. It's very weird, because when you talk about the working people, Republicans are fighting hard for working people. The left will pretend they are, but in reality what they're saying is, well, we want you to work in the situations that we set up for you, the government jobs. That's what we've created, and you should like that. You should be a part of that, and you should work for us.
Well, and you want to know the switch and where it's oriented. The Republican Party, basically, for the longest time, their entire policy was, we're just going to leave you alone. All right, we're just going to leave you alone.
Right.
And the Democrats were, we're going to tax you, and here's what our income tax rate's going to be. You know, when you look at the Western world before the Bush tax cuts, and then further down with the Trump tax cuts, our corporations were the most highest taxed in the Western world. And so it made it very hard to compete with other countries. Well, that was the whole mentality. The Democrats are like, well, we're just going to come after your money. Now it's turned into, well, now that we're not coming after your money, instead we're going to send you money, and now we're going to be your best friends.
What do you think?
Yeah.
It's a good,
but it works out.
It's a great trade-off.
And they don't look further down the road. When you talk about those corporate taxes, you're talking about, well, this is going to get passed on. Well, who's it going to get passed on to? Well, me, the consumer. So as you sit there and you start to really break these things down and think, yeah, I'm all for it. Tax the rich. Corporations, pay your fair share, blah, blah, blah. And then you go, well, the corporations they continue to push are now laying people off and continue to lay people off. And it's happened so many times. Look at how they push the EV bus. Do we remember Kamala Harris? I took a bus. Buses are fun. Buses go to school. They round about, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, electric buses will be so great. and then Blue Bird laid off half their staff.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the results are there, people. All you have to do is do the research into them. Here's what's going to happen with the 28%. Your product prices are going to go up.
Absolutely.
They're going to eliminate people because you know what? They're going to say the first thing we need to cut is some of the staff.
The biggest expense.
Yeah, let's figure out how to get rid of a lot of these expenses. Yep.
Morning Xtra at Extra 106.3. Want to talk to Roberto real quick. He's in Kennesaw. Roberto, what's on your mind?
Hey, I just had a quick question, sort of kind of going along with what you're talking about. If, Kamala's price-fixing ideas, that communism nonsense, how do you justify massive corporate profits at the same time that you're talking about ridiculous levels of inflation that just keep going up and up? And how is somehow price-fixing going to solve that?
Thank you. And first off, I'm so glad you bring it up that way, because we had a previous caller who, when we talked about the price of goods and services and inflation, and then they just basically would say, well, but I mean, it's corporate greed.
Yes.
And at the same time, they also said, but my 401k looks really good. It's like, how many feet? Well, you're jumping from one foot to the next as you go back and forth. That ends up being the problem. It's that you can't tell me about what the stock market's doing, what you have right now, because every publicly traded company, it all comes back to how much money are they making in order to keep their stock price high. You can't tell me that you're going to brag about this, yet then on the other side, you're going to say, but I'm going to fix that and make sure they don't make as much money as they can in the marketplace.
But let's be honest, this has been an ongoing thing for Democrats for so long that Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, all of them have talked about corporate greed. And Barack Obama, one of the biggest when talking about corporate greed and the tax rate going up and all of that. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. It's been the same lie time after time after time. It's not corporate greed that's driving these prices up. It's energy. It's energy that's driving them up. It's the supply chain being diminished every single day.
Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars.
Printing that dollar and sending it out.
It's not that your house is worth this much more. It's that your dollar is worth this much less. When you start to look at where things have grown. And just to bring this last little point up about it, what is frustrating ultimately is when you look at, now they're trying to vilify the 5 biggest grocery store chains. Right. Well, their average profit margin is 2.4%.
Well, that's on the high end, though.
That's on the high. No, I'm just saying on average, all 5 of them, that is the most that they're getting. It's between 1.2 and closer to 3. Like I said, 2.4% on average. And so the problem for me with all that, in the meantime, the DNC is marching out the CEO of Amex. And you want to talk about corporate greed and gouging.
26% interest rates.
They're sitting back going, wow, we're making this much more money than we were year to year.
Were these corporations not making this much money while Donald Trump was president? Of course they were. Of course they were. Up into COVID, when everything kind of fell apart and everybody had to close, that was the same call. Nobody complained about the inflation then. Nobody complained about price, of eggs and bread and everything else then. And corporate greed was still a thing in their mind, right?
I'll tell you.
Don't forget Occupy Wall Street during that time.
I'll tell you, though, that is the biggest stab in the neck for consumers, is these credit card companies scoring 26% interest. Look, it's your card. You can charge anything you want, but if there was some nice competition in the market and people could afford it, there would be another outlet, right? But if you want to talk about corporate greed, but no, they would never bring that up because he's a speaker at the DNC.
Visa right now is reporting 10% year-over-year revenue.
Now,
10%.
10% compared to 2.4 on average at the grocery stores that we're worried about price gouging on.
Again, who was walking up and who was standing on the podium of the DNC?
American Express.
Exactly.
Yep.
Morning Xtra on Extra 106.3. When we come back, grab your number 2 pencils. Make sure they're sharpened, and grab you a scratch sheet of paper to be able to take some notes, because we're going to do story time. Canada is the next communist nation. Next on the Extra 106.3. The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Tug, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
I get enough flack on Facebook in response to my postings there. All these people telling me, you hate Donald Trump. Well, first of all, I don't hate. I've said repeatedly, I like what he does. I do not like what he is.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
The EQE SUV electrifies the spirit, soul, and body of the Mercedes-Benz SUV. User-friendly technology meets thoughtful utility, thorough refinement, and earth-friendlier power. Satisfying for both drivers and passengers with innovations that only Mercedes-Benz can deliver. Experience the all-electric 2024 Mercedes-Benz EQE 350 SUV today. Lease one for just $699 per month for 36 months with $71.93 due at signing, exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models, and visit today to see how to qualify. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through September 3rd, 2024. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Low on energy? Struggling with inflammation and poor digestion? Try Encapsulate 6 Mushroom Blend and get back in the game. Our blend is specially formulated to promote overall wellness and maximize health benefits using 6 powerful functional mushrooms. Our science-forward approach offers the most potent and bioavailable mushroom supplement on the market, backed by third-party testing to ensure safety and efficacy. Order online on Amazon or encapsulateusa.com today to start your journey to better living. Enter promo code 680 for $10 off.
Have you heard about Sonder and their Georgia-based Medicare Advantage health plans? Sonder Health Plans is committed to revolutionizing healthcare, making it straightforward, personal, and affordable. Call them and ask if you qualify for their fantastic $400 grocery card offer and $0 premiums. They've even got their own radio show and podcast called Weekend Wellness, dedicated to keeping all Georgians healthy and happy at every age. Call 800-331-2928 or visit SonderHealthPlans.com. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
What's up, Atlanta? It's Ben Burnett, host of the Weekend Ben Burnett Show. Each and every weekend, right here on Extra 106.3, we unpack all the week's events. We talk about all the issues with a local Atlanta-based flavor. You can catch me each and every weekend, Saturdays at 2 and Sundays at noon. If you ever miss an episode, you can go to the podcast park or wherever you download all of your content, and I'll be right there. Thanks for listening to the Ben Burnett Show, proudly brought to you by Butler Snow.
Fox on Tech.
Remember the CrowdStrike foul-up on computers worldwide this past summer? Yeah, so does Microsoft. Cybersecurity giant CrowdStrike had a major fail back in July when a buggy software update was implemented across its very large client base using Microsoft Windows computers. It took down systems on airlines and governments in healthcare across the planet. Delta Airlines alone wants more than $500 million in damages from both Microsoft and CrowdStrike. Now, Microsoft will host a meeting in September with the CrowdStrike folks and possibly others in the cybersecurity space to plan prevention for a future catastrophe. The meeting will take place at Microsoft headquarters outside Seattle. In a blog post, Microsoft says it will also invite government representatives to assure them of transparency. They're calling it the Windows Endpoint Security Ecosystem Summit. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
Election coverage is more than polls and numbers. It's about what matters in your life and your community. And Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station cares about your community, your voice, and most importantly, your vote. So keep it all here for the latest and download the Extra 106.3 app and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
Doug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Glad you're here. 404-741-1230 is the number if you'd like to be a part of the show, like Roberto from Kennesaw was just a little bit ago. You can also find us across the social media platforms at Extra 106.3, at Tug Coward, at Rhino Extra 106.3, at Front Office Los.
You still hurt me.
Oh, yes, we didn't get a chance. Do we have time here?
Yeah, I just need 30 seconds.
So, okay, yes, I did. Yes.
So, I showed up here cold. Yes. You know that I'm finally getting our car serviced after having like this month of having it damaged, and everything finally went through Friday. All right, dropping it off this morning. It's going to get worked on. So my normal pullover that sits in my car is sitting in my car.
Yes. And you're wearing your wife's,
my wife's
little
pullover.
But it looks very nice.
It's very, very tight.
No,
it's very skimpy.
But very nice.
Yeah, guess who has a pullover being unused at his desk right now, just sitting there.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, the camouflage one. Yeah, you're more than welcome to wear it.
Wow.
That just never crossed my mind. It was not like.
What do you mean it never crossed your mind? He brought it up 3 times this morning when he walked in.
Look what I'm wearing.
I know, but
it's
I mean,
like painted on.
And you should have been like, you know what?
Hey, I
am
got
a good
one.
man and a good friend. I have a really nice, warm Glock hoodie.
I feel terrible that I didn't think of it.
I've never put it on. It looks warm. Maybe Carlos could let me know.
Yeah.
I've worn it a couple times, but I totally forgot it was over there, man. Why didn't you just grab it?
Big comfy pullover because it's sitting on your desk.
Well, you
just grab it. You didn't even offer it to him. Why would he grab it? He'd be afraid you'd hit him again.
Right, exactly. He'd be like, I'm going to do it again. I'll be like, no, not again.
Please, no.
Oh, no.
5:45 this morning, I brought this up. I'm like, I'm feeling a little ridiculous because it's cold. I'm wearing this little tiny pullover, and here you are with a big comfy one at your desk, and you're like, I'm not going to say a word. I don't have lice.
It's so tight on your forearm.
I know.
I mean, you look like you're in like a one of those.
You look like a Teletubby now. Like it's just like your outfits, your skin now.
It's all skinned onto me.
It's like so. You're more than welcome to the camouflage clock pullover that's on my desk. You're more than welcome.
We're almost halfway through the day, but that's cool.
Better late than never.
Now I can do stuff. Yeah.
That's what. Okay.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure until then.
Yeah. No, you're always welcome, man. Anything I have,
always help Rhino out.
Anytime anything I have, I'm willing to share or give to you. That's just the way I operate. So,
but not this morning.
He must have just said, "I just saw Laura run and hide it." He must have sent her a text.
Quick, burn it!
You know how I know that's not true? Because she's not in today.
She's not here. I know.
She's not in today.
She came in just to take the sweatshirt. Wow,
exactly, man. That's a long drive from Alpharetta just to jump in, grab sweatshirt, and go home.
I'm here to pick up the pullover.
That's right. Yeah, wait, Lowe's has to wear that little skinny one and look all crazy. All right, do you have your number 2 pencil sharpened? You better. It is time for Story Time, brought to you by Atlanta Ramjack, your local repair, foundation repair experts. AtlantaRamjack.com, AtlantaRamjack.com.
Settle in and get comfortable, folks. It's story time with Uncle Los.
Cold Uncle Los.
Thank you, Ramjack. Warmer now. Ramjack can get me warm too. I'm sure they have comfy pullovers.
I bet they do. They probably sent
one of those.
They're good snugglers too.
I'm gonna reach out to Ramjack and be like, "Hey, any of your promo material, I will wear it on the show." Thank you to Rhino. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to Tug. The Olympics was a great opportunity. It was a very teaching opportunity for me because while we're watching, so many of these amazing athletes and how they were performing, one of the questions that came up with both of my daughters when they would talk about, how hard these people train and what they do. And it was a moment where I could point out how, yes, within our own community, our Olympians, they typically find corporate sponsors. They do what they're going to do. They go to training facilities and they do what they do. I was like, but let's talk about the Chinese. And part of the reason why when you watch the Chinese and how incredible, and especially when it was teams-oriented stuff, how succinct they are, how technically perfect. I know, it's incredible. And you have to then describe to your family that, in this case, my daughters, I said, well, you got to understand, they are actually belonging to the state. And the state, when they recognize that a child has a particular set of skills, some athleticism, something to that's interesting, they move them over to particular schools. And now everything they do in terms of level of education, not only that, then what they get afterwards is all rewarded by the state. So, for instance, if you win a gold medal for China, man, that apartment building's going to get a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
All right? They're going to now say, you're moving up now. You're raising your place within the party.
4 bedrooms.
Exactly. So, you know what? We're going to give you a little bit more. I remember watching a documentary on National Geographic one time, and it was focusing on North Korea. And I believe the woman, the reporter, is Lisa Ling. And she had done the hidden camera into North Korea, and they would go into these apartment homes. They're like 400 square feet. And they would always have, Chairman Mao, whoever else on the wall. In this case, you would basically have, their rulers in North Korea. And you realize how little people had, and everything was assigned by the state and what you could bring back to the state. And so when you start talking about providing housing to people, know that there's strings attached and you're moving towards authoritarianism. I want you to take a listen to Justin Trudeau. So in Canada, we've seen all the authoritarianism happen. We've seen them where they've frozen bank accounts if you happen to go against the state. We've seen them have just crazy rules when it came to COVID. Well, take a listen to Justin Trudeau, as he now has even bigger plans for Canada.
Here's something we can all agree on. We need more housing in Canada, but that the government should step up and make sure that housing gets built, that's where some people disagree. Take federal lands, land that's owned by the federal government that isn't being used anymore. The Conservative Party leader wants to sell it all off to make a quick buck. That does nothing for you. The federal government owns tons of land in cities and towns across the country. You could build a lot of homes on those lands, so that's what we're going to do. We're offering up that public land for housing. And we're not just going to sell it all to developers, we're going to long-term lease it. See, by leasing the land, we get to work with communities to make sure that home builders are building the right homes. Homes you can afford. We've got land, we got lots of houses to build, so that's exactly what we're going to do.
So, translation, we're going to get together with builders to build homes in the interest of the government. We're not going to sell it to them.
Correct.
We're going to lease them so that we still get to keep control over this. And now we're providing housing for the people that the state now considers to be the right people to have housing.
Well, we're talking about subsidies is exactly what they're talking about. So whenever they talk about leasing to this company, that company is getting kickbacks like you wouldn't believe. Number one, you get all your tax breaks. It's all given to those. So they make more and more money. But at the same time, they're locked into that lease, so they won't lose that. For usually 30 to 50 years, they'll lock that in if they'll try to get as long as they possibly can. And who pays the rest of that? Well, it goes to the taxpayers. The taxpayers are paying into the government to go ahead and work on those subsidies for these big corporations like BlackRock. And it's the same thing that Kamala Harris is literally talking about. It's been the same thing that Gavin Newsom's been talking about and sending people to Vienna to look at how they did their housing and their small 500 square foot apartments to build and leasing out to companies to build for them. It's a horrible idea, and it's communism.
I love the fact where he says we're going to make sure they're building the right homes.
And so what happens is now it turns into, hey, you're interested in housing, right? You'd like a roof over your head.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been checking your social media. You're pretty critical of the state.
Probably going to have to kick you out of those.
I think you're going to be declined.
Yeah,
but this is how this is used. It's used to incentivize, just like the Chinese do, just like the North Koreans do. It's used to incentivize service to the state. We will put a roof over your head if you're doing this for us.
Just like the dude from Telegraph, the CEO of Telegraph just got arrested in France because he's not censoring people online. They're not, and you're seeing people be arrested in the UK and Britain specifically. People being arrested for saying something against the state. Dude, that is all. I mean, it's all part of the big communist circle.
We've already seen it. We've already seen the slow move to that. Oh, wow, they are really getting on us, and they're conservative. We got to go ahead and block their accounts or throttle back their accounts so people can't see them. This has already started, and it's going to continue on. And now they're doing the same thing Trudeau said, the same thing that the communist always tells you. It's big in China. In fact, it'll get to a point where they say we can only have 2 doctors, 2 lawyers, and the rest of you are garbage men.
This was always the danger of the social credit score and why we pushed back on it so hard, because once they were able to quantify what you were doing socially, at that point, hey, do you own guns?
Oh, sorry.
Got to mark you down here.
Yeah,
can't help you on this. That was always the plan. So I'm glad we were able to kind of push that off to the periphery for the time being.
7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. When we come back after the Neil Bortz report and the Fox News update, RFK noticed the Democrats were colluding with big tech to censor you and me, which is one of the many reasons he's joined Trump in this unity party. We'll discuss it after the break on Extra 106.3.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
So-called journalists have a little trick they like to use from time to time to indoctrinate rather than to inform. One of them is to mess around with the headlines to a news story to create a certain message that is certainly not delivered in the body of the news story itself. Now, in Florida, one of the games is make Ron DeSantis look bad. I pointed this out to you in July of this year. A headline in an online news source said, "Final confirmation, Florida government imposes fee on Disney World voters." and they had a picture of Ron DeSantis and the castle at Disney World. Ooh, makes Ron DeSantis look bad, doesn't it? He's still picking on Disney. But what was the story? Ron DeSantis signed legislation that enabled red light cameras in Florida. And some of those red light cameras were going to catch visitors going to Disney World. So that was a fee on Disney World visitors. Another one appeared in a website called Newsbreak. And the headline was, World Reacts to Horrible Ron DeSantis News. Oh my goodness, what did Ron DeSantis do now that was so horrible that the entire world is reacting to it? Now, some low information voter would read the headline and, well, there he goes again, embarrassing Florida, doing horrible things, and they'd go on to check their TikTok. But what was the story, if you read further, if you can read? Ron DeSantis went to Ireland to see Georgia Tech play the Florida Seminoles, and Georgia Tech won. So the headline, World Reacts to Horrible Ron DeSantis News. That is not journalism, of course. It's indoctrination. Read past the headlines, folks. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
On this episode of The Real Houses of Atlanta.
Whoa, Bobby, what's going on?
Well, now that I'm the HOA president, I'm going to start cracking down on the neighborhood.
With a sledgehammer?
Well, look, this place is looking rough, and nobody's moving right now either. So I'm telling the neighbors it's time to fix up the homes they have.
And what do you suggest?
Well, I'm telling everybody on the block about Exovations. They're right here, and they can get your house the facelift it needs. We're talking new siding, roofing, windows, doors, decks, even porches, patios, and porticos. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to start with Jim next door. Hey, Jimmy, you got a window out. Check the bylaws.
Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Avoid an HOA headache and let us give your home the facelift it needs. We'll introduce you to our ExoVision, our very own architectural design that allows you to envision your home's transformation before you even start the project. Ready for your on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation? Visit exovations.com and book your consultation today.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Extra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Extra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
An Israeli Navy soldier is killed. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. 3 Hezbollah fighters are reported to have died in Israeli airstrikes, destroying thousands of rocket launchers. There's a heavy exchange of fire between Israel and Hezbollah militants in Lebanon as the Biden administration's top military officer is in Israel. Ceasefire talks continue to end the war being fought against Hamas in Gaza to the south.
High-level talks have ended in Cairo, Egypt, with both Israel and Hamas blaming the other for a lack of agreement. A U.S. official says lower-level talks will continue, though. This after the Lebanon-based Islamist group Hezbollah launched what it says were 320 rockets and missiles at Israel's north. Israeli jets had been pounding Hezbollah positions in an attempt to thwart an even larger attack. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah claimed its attack was a response to the killing of a top commander last month, but had been delayed to give Gaza peace talks a chance. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, will kick off a bus tour through southern Georgia this week, finishing with a rally in Savannah. No interviews on her schedule so far. She hasn't given one since she was tapped to be the Democrats' presidential pick more than a month ago. And the vice president's been raking in the cash, however, $540 million since President Biden dropped out $82 million during last week's convention. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, with reporters in Minneapolis, says the convention shows differences between The Republican and Democratic presidential tickets couldn't be more clear.
This is about facts over fantasy. It's about record over rhetoric. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz's records are absolutely horrible.
Former President Trump will be in Michigan today to speak to thousands of troops at the National Guard's annual meeting after laying a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery, marking 3 years since the death of 13 Americans in an attack at Kabul airport in Afghanistan. America's listening to Fox News.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten it.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall!
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. Rated PG-13. May not be suitable for children under 13.
Start your day with live and local conservative talk with Tug, Rhino, and Carlos Medina on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
Download the app so you can listen live and on demand to conservative discussions and conversations you will not hear anywhere else in Atlanta. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Right at the end of the last break, we talked about the fact that the CEO and the creator, the founder of Telegram, was arrested in France at the airport. This is one of those situations where the French government's like, if you won't censor people, we are going to arrest you. We are going to hold you accountable for all the things that they are saying. And if you don't think that can happen in the United States of America, you are very, very wrong. We're going to continue that in just a minute. We're going to go on. Tell me his name again, Joey.
Jeff from Canada.
Jeff from Canada is on the phone. We were talking about Canada at the end of the last segment with Justin Trudeau and all the things that are going on up there with Story Time with Front Office Lopes. If you missed that, you can go back and listen to it on the Extra 106.3 app. So, Jeff, what's on your mind, man?
Well, we've been listening to you guys for about 9 months. We just came across you on one of the apps. And what you guys say about Canada, it's happening. The restrictions are unbelievable. And we live in a border town. We're in the Thousand Island area.
Ooh, beautiful.
And the differences between homes for sale up here and down there, it's like night and day.
In what way? What do you mean?
Yeah, explain, Jeff, because, again, we were definitely on the outside looking in on this one.
Well, okay, so my house is about, if I went to sell it, it'd be about $750,000 Canadian. Mm-hmm. Right across where I'm staring out my window right now, across the St. Lawrence River, you can get a house for under $200 on the water.
Wow. So
I'm just saying,
it's just a crazy inflated prices, and then the value of the money is less. Is that the addition that I'm seeing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when did this start?
And
sorry, Jeff. When did this all start really falling apart? Because I go back to look at when the truckers were striking and not being able to come across and make a living that way, and then Trudeau going and talking about how they're going to attack through the insurance companies. I mean, has this been going on before that, or was that really the jump start to everything else?
It was really expensive prior to that, but reasonable. Someone could afford to buy a house, and our wages were competitive. COVID came, and with the severe lockdowns that we had, we went to the truckers thing up in Ottawa.
Oh, wow.
Maybe half a dozen times, and it was great. There was people of all races, people of all creeds, and nothing but joy.
Sound like the Democrat Party.
Yeah. No, but it was
but real joy, actual joy.
And now prices are through the roof. I'll give you an example. Basically, if you go buy a 6-pack of Busch beer in the LCBO here, which is our liquor stores.
Yeah.
That will cost you $13.45.
A 6-pack.
Now, if I go across the border, 30 beers, same can size, same everything, 30 of them for $10.
Wow.
U.S.
Good Lord.
God, we used to, up in New York, we'd go to Canada to get cheap. Well, plus it was like 18 to get it. But it was cheap to get beer there. Like, you'd get the Molson Ices. You'd get the Labatt's because it was cheaper. Now they're coming across the border to get it from us.
How insane of a world is it where, and Jeff, thanks for checking us out.
Yeah,
thanks for finding us from Canada. That's really cool. To think that for the longest time, the refuge for all of us was, well, if I don't like it, I'll go to Canada.
Yeah.
And then it turns into, yeah, I'd rather just stay here and figure it out.
Yeah, we're going to need to. And the other was Australia, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I'm going to Australia. I remember my brother-in-law Daniel telling me that all the time when he would be like, if this keeps getting crazy, if they continue to run the United States into the ground like they want to do, I'm going to Australia. And now he can't say that anymore because they were so heavy-handed with lockdowns and putting people in like these halfway houses that wouldn't surrender to take the COVID jab. Remember that crap?
Man, 2020
Holy
redefined
Lord.
so much of what we view as liberty and tyranny.
And there's still people that either don't realize that was happening or don't think it's that big a deal, and both are crazy. The fact that you didn't know it was going on or the fact that you're okay with it.
It is a odd and weird flip around and change that a lot of people are seeing. And I love Canada. I think Canada and the people of Canada are great people. I think their leadership is failing them miserably because they are hardworking people, very similar to us here in Georgia. I mean, when you talk about, the farming up there and everything they do, we forget. I'm afraid if we don't see what's happening above us and below us, when you look at Venezuela and see the similarities between the way that this government is starting to move, then you're just blind to it. But do I get to talk more hockey now that we have Canadian listeners, by the way?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, you could talk about it maybe on social media or something.
All right, we're only a few months away from hockey.
The post-show videos are always helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there we go.
All right, cool.
That'll work.
For Jeff and the guys out in
That's
Canada.
right, because they'll jump right in. They'll know. They'll want to talk to you about it as well.
They're just amazed that there's a guy over there in Georgia. He actually knows his hockey.
Right, exactly right. Telegram founder and the CEO was arrested on Saturday in France at the airport and taken into custody because he will not censor the things that are being said on his social media platform. And Rhino, when we were talking about this in between the segments, Rhino's like, Elon Musk better watch out. And that has been the discussion, man. There's been people all over, especially Europe, talking about, we'll just arrest him. Or we will take his ability to be even available to our citizenry if he doesn't limit this. And RFK Jr. talked about this very same thing. He talked about the censorship that the government has colluded with big tech to censor you and me.
When a U.S. president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it's an attack on our most sacred right of free expression. And that's the very right upon which all of our other constitutional rights rest. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press and that Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot. But here in America, the DNC also prevented opponents from appearing on the ballot. And our television networks exposed themselves as Democratic Party organs over the course of more than a year in a campaign where my poll numbers reached at times in the high 20s. The DNC-aligned mainstream media networks maintain a near-perfect embargo on interviews with me. During his 10-month presidential campaign in 1992, Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks. In contrast, during the 16 months since I declared, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me. Those networks instead ran a continuous deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate, often vile, pejoratives and defamatory.
And he continues on. I mean, he talked about this a lot in his speech. And this should be alarming to everyone that hears it and everyone that sees the fact that this happens in the United States, that one administration could put their thumb on a social media outlet or a television network and say, do our bidding and say what we want you to say, or we'll throw your butt in jail.
I think what's really telling, if you just kind of know the history and you get into the numbers, Ross Perot was only sitting right around 5%, maybe 7%, and became this media darling of like, oh my God, let's listen to what Ross Perot has to say. RFK Jr. was polling at 20-something%. I think at one time I knew it was like 22%, but he's saying even in the higher 20% range when it came to him in the Democrat primaries versus Joe Biden. And they decided we're going to basically make you disappear.
Yeah. He was crazy. Up to 20, and, his lowest at that point was like maybe 14% in some polls. I mean,
still significant.
Still huge. I mean, that's a big number, 6%. They're in debates. They're getting money. They're able to go ahead and go out there and compete. He never had a fair shot at making the White House. Why? Well, partly because they kicked him out of the Democratic primary. They wouldn't even allow him in there. He had every right to be in a part of that primary. That's number one. Number two, they had an easy way to go ahead and quiet him, and that was using the news. And I'm glad he brought that up and that he saw it, and that's why he joined. And when it became a unity party, and that's kind of what they're talking about, a unity campaign and unifying the country, this is the one thing he said to Donald Trump: I get the lawfare against you now. I see it. I see what they've done. Yeah, I see how they kept me off ballots out of state.
Well, Ross Perot, by the time it was over in 92, got 18%. So you're talking about a person who was polling higher than that within his own party and was also getting Republican support.
Yeah.
There was no reason why he should have been iced out of the game in the way that he was.
And when he brings up negative coverage that is told, hey, here's our talking points, and you could see it across Democrat and mainstream media, they'll all use the same buzzwords. They'll all use the same examples. But there is unprecedented at this point positive media coverage for Kamala Harris, and 89% of the coverage Donald Trump has gotten has been negative. Yep. So if they're, again, it's like the example I used earlier in the show. If you tell a kid their entire life they can't or they're worthless, they'll grow up believing that. And my example only is there because if you continue to tell people Donald Trump is evil, Donald Trump is a Nazi, Donald Trump is the devil incarnate, eventually people believe that too. And that's why this endorsement from RFK Jr. is so important, because it shakes that narrative.
Well, I just like that for that time period he's describing, it was always, anti-vaxxer, and that's how it started. It always started with, we're going to say this, and so that means that anything else we bring up is going to put it under this microscope, and so that's why it's not important to listen to.
This narrative, this way of thinking.
All right, by the time he got off that stage Friday, they couldn't say anything other than OF.
Yeah. That's right.
Like,
thank goodness.
Oh God, like we're in trouble now.
This is the August surprise. You usually get it in October.
As they talk about we are working for everyone, we heard it through the DNC. The Republicans, the Democrats, the independents, we're all coming together. But you're not. This is the true unity government. And that's what Donald Trump, and that's what RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, they're all kind of bringing that as a unity government. How can we do this? How can we work for all of the people? So that's the danger to the Democrats, because as they sit here and they play the whole work and labor game and talk about hardworking Americans, they want to take the hard work out and give to them. And people don't see that. What they want is prosperity on the other side. Making America great again means something else to RFK Jr., it means something else to Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, and everyone else. It means working for all of the people.
Well, as we've talked about it, Jeff Duncan is not a brand name anywhere other than here. Okay,
and not even really here anymore.
It's been off the radar, and essentially, this is somebody who's decided to go the Joe Scarborough route. I'm going to cast myself in with the Democrats. I'll do Democrat television, and so I'll be the Republican they bring in. Man, that's different than Tulsi Gabbard, who was sitting on a debate stage going at it with Kamala Harris for president. All right, that's different than having RFK Jr. That's different than the richest man in the world, formerly close to it, Elon Musk, doing the same thing. It's a completely different game. So when you start hearing about, hey, Donald Trump is looking to put together a cabinet that's going to include some of these people, then you say, Why not more Republicans? Well, the Republicans didn't help him out a whole lot the first time around.
And many of those establishment Republicans are worse than the Democrats.
So why not get a dude who took Twitter apart and turned it into what he's turned it into? And if you're putting him in charge of cutting the fat, okay, let's go.
He's done it. Well, it's funny you bring that up because the dude that was arrested, the CEO of Telegram, he has 100 people working for this entire social media network. 100.
Sure.
And that's not a gigantic number for as big and how many billions of people are on this platform. Just like Elon Musk, when he walked in, he was like, what are all these people here for? What are they all doing? And he started slicing, and he needed to. The company was just chock full of people not generating anything for that company. And that's why it never made $1. Now it is.
But that's the same idea when it comes to the government solution for government jobs. In reality, you can go to the DMV. You can go to some of the government-run facilities. The VA, for anybody who's a veteran, understand. The ability to go ahead and spend so much money and never get anything accomplished or be thorough with everything they do. Think about how many different ways you have to go and prove that you're still injured if you're a veteran. Think about all the different avenues you have to take. They are so inefficient, it's disgusting. So when you have somebody that is in the private industry, when you have a Donald Trump who knows how to make things efficient, who knows the price of things, and hey, why are we paying $2 billion for a building that should only cost us $500,000? That's a big threat to people who are creating budgets for their friends, putting their people in position to make millions of dollars and overinflating every product. I know people joke all the time about a $100 toilet seat when you can go to Home Depot and get one for $12.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy in bulk, why is the government paying $100? Start thinking about that, because I hear Democrats say it all the time. We have to be better.
This is what the globalists are concerned about. This is what the communists within the Democrat Party are so concerned about. What happens when Donald Trump brings in people that he doesn't have to get confirmed?
Yep.
When he just starts assigning them within, whether you go through cabinet positions or if you make somebody, the director of the CIA. Okay, that's under your purview. That didn't have to go through any sort of process of the Democrats and the establishment Republicans making sure, we're not going to let these guys get anywhere near power. That is scary to them.
The ultimate victory is RFK Jr. as CIA director. Dude, that is the ultimate victory. Because they've already said Trump said it over the weekend. He said, we are going to release all of the documents. We have every piece of information on the JFK assassination. True transparency, which is what we're looking for.
Sure.
Democracy dies in the dark, the slug line of the Washington Post, who is the worst at shining the light on anything that doesn't go in the narrative or doesn't go on the side that they want it to.
Well, imagine this, and I've said it's America 2.0 after 2020. That's I firmly believe that's what has gone on. All right, we have a choice. Do you want to go for communism, or do you want to go towards nationalism? And I think that if you were to drop those documents, and we have a moment where, according to Tucker Carlson, according to Robert Kennedy Jr., they all believe the CIA killed a president. If that actually came out, you want to talk about the rebirth of a nation of going, here's where we got it wrong. Now we're being honest. Now we're fixing it.
Here's where we're going to fix it. No doubt, man.
It's a unity government that, we get ideas from both sides or even more sides.
Even able to. I love the fact that they said we're not going to agree on everything. And we're going to argue vehemently about the things that we don't agree with. And yet we're going to do it respectfully and come to the best conclusion.
If you started with the Kennedy assassination and moving forward, if those documents ever saw the light of day, does it not then create a fervor for, dismantle that thing?
Dismantle it.
And what else? What else might you find when the light is shine in the dark? That's the thing things that I've never even considered being wrong or done incorrectly because it's always been smoothed over in the media. And when you hear the truth about whatever it is, you're like, oh my God, I've been misled for this long.
His true attack on the FDA, CDC, and actual, government intervention when it comes to medical is going to be huge.
Morning Xtra and Xtra 106.3. When we continue, we'll knock out the headlines. 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. Call them at 770-GET-HEAT or visit their website, centralheat.com. When we continue, you're watching in real time the emergence of the next great conservative voice on Xtra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station.
From From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Xtra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Xtra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Xtra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
All right, now is the time to prepare. Well, you want to prepare for a lot of things, and especially when it comes to an emergency, you want to make sure that your family is safe. And there's so many different ways that you can do that. And I want to tell you about one way that makes it easy. Your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness, and that's True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. Owned by Matt and Joey, both Georgia Tech engineers, graduated from Georgia Tech and probably celebrated this weekend with a big win. Well, the other thing they celebrate is the fact that they know you and your family will be safe. And they also celebrate by saying, hey, this is our community and we want to keep our community safe. So they put on great events and do things like Red Cross certification, blood drives, things for the community. And I ask that you do something for your community. And when it comes to preparedness supplies, well, use someone that you can trust. And I'm telling you, you can trust True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. They have all the freeze-dried foods you need, whether it's prepackaged or you want to do it yourself. They even have heirloom seeds. You can go ahead and start a seed bank, making sure that you do have a supply that would last for a long time. Also, they have your water filtration, your first aid kits, and your firearms, firearm accessories, and ammo, all at the lowest prices around. But even better, they want to make sure that they have you set up for success. So they do workshops all the time. And September 7th, they've got their Intro to Emergency Preparedness, their Bug Out and Bag, and your Get Home Bag class as well. And then the following week, Defensive Shotgun, set up and easy to use, and their Intro to Water Filtration and Storage. Within 2 weeks, you can be ready to go and have your family safe. Go check them out in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or visit them online at trueprep.com. That's TRU prep.com. Tell them Rhino sent you and prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow with True Prep.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
Get ready for Real Talk on the Janelle King Show, where we tackle kitchen table topics that are banned from family gatherings, but crucial for a strong republic. Tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. and every Sunday for an encore episode at 9 a.m. And if you can catch us live, great. But if not, no worries. New podcasts drop every Tuesday on the Podcast Park right here on Xtra 106.3 or wherever you get your podcast. Join us for insightful conversations that matter.
Customer service seems like a lost art these days, but EMC Security is bringing it back. I was blown away with their service. They answer the phone quickly and truly want to help you, which is rare these days. My technician was friendly, answered all my questions, and got everything installed perfectly. I highly recommend EMC Security.
EMC Security, exceeding customer expectations since 1998. Call or visit emcsecurity.com for a free quote.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
All right, here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, August 26th. A 16-year-old from Rome was taken into custody after 4 men were found dead at Pleasant Grove Park in Whitfield County. Deputies received a call of shots being fired and arrived at the park in Dalton to find 4 men dead, a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 17-year-old. The GBI said they believe multiple weapons were involved. The 16-year-old was charged with 4 counts of felony murder. Investigators are asking the public to help locate an SUV and a dark-colored hatchback, saying the vehicles would have sustained gunshot damage. The investigation is ongoing. An investigation into contraband being smuggled into the Fulton County Jail has led to more arrests of jail contractors. The contractors were arrested for smuggling $1 million worth of drugs into the facility. 6 people were arrested and 5 more have warrants out for their arrest and are being searched for by authorities. Protesters gathered outside the Fulton County Jail yesterday, calling for the resignation of Sheriff Patrick Labatt. And in sports, the Braves could not complete the sweep of the Washington Nationals yesterday, falling 5-1 at Truist Park. Matt Olson did hit his 22nd homer of the season in the loss. The Braves now head to the Twin Cities to take on the Minnesota Twins. The 3-game series will begin tonight at 7:40 with Max Fried on the mound for the Braves. You can catch all the action on our sister station, 680 The Fan.
Some of the best conservative voices that we've had over the years. I mean, the one that gets the most attention is certainly Ronald Reagan, and rightfully so. I mean, his ideas, his principles, his values just shaped everything that I believe about America. He was so important. But there's been so many others. I mean, James Madison, if you want to go back a long time, Frederick Douglass, Thomas Sewell, Milton Friedman. There's so many out there that you could say, man, when I hear people like Walter Williams speak, I immediately listen because they say the things that make the most sense about this great nation, about this great experiment that is the United States of America. I think we're living in an age where we have another great conservative mind, great conservative speaker that maybe you've not thought about. Maybe you've not held him in regard that you have with some of the names that I've mentioned. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb here by saying Vivek Ramaswamy is one of the next great conservative speakers. You might not, he might not, get that praise that some of these others get now, but he will in the near future. And definitely looking back, you're going to see him and some of the things that he said and go, oh my goodness. He was the voice of reason. I mean, use your example, the dad in the room so many times leading up to this election and during this election, and I hope a part of a Donald Trump administration following this election.
I want to remind all you guys and the entire audience, remember, he essentially was Trump's surrogate during that time period where we had the debates and Trump was like, I'm not going to debate a bunch of y'all because I'm already winning. I'm already leading. And so it ended up having Vivek Ramaswamy being the guy on the stage. They want to take a shot at Trump, and he's flat out telling you, well, no, here's the agenda, and he was calling his MAGA 2.0, but essentially it was the same plan. I think it's going to be fascinating between him and DeSantis and J.D. Vance, the future of the party, because you've got like 3 quality dudes where you're like, we're in a really good place moving forward with this leadership.
I think so, too.
Especially when we're talking about a 78-year-old president.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing that I think he does better than maybe anybody else, including Donald Trump. And probably including DeSantis, too. I think DeSantis is probably closer than Trump. But being able to go into the lion's den and talk to people that normally wouldn't listen to a conservative message. How many times has he been on The Breakfast Club, the big show that is in at major urban markets like Atlanta, Charlemagne the God, and been on with him and been able to explain things so simply,
So anybody can understand it. Even people that might not agree with it on the surface, when they hear it, goes, that actually does make a lot of sense.
Well, he's able to talk to a lot of different groups. And, during the campaigning, you saw him talking to a lot of progressives and really opening their eyes to some of the things that they were saying and kind of turning it around and telling them the truth. And as it, kind of lit their lamp, their eyes would open up and they'd be like, wow, okay, hold on one second. I think that's what Vivek does better than anyone else, is really just kind of break it down so you understand why what they're telling you, why what they've said are not only lies, but why it's dangerous.
I want to just say this. Like you said, simply, and I think that's part of it, but I think there's something that's more nuanced to it. Like, to me, when I think succinct, I think it's almost like he strips away the political BS and gets it down to just let's level with each other on this. And so when you have a loaded question that gets asked his way, he immediately takes the loaded part and says, let's put that aside. Now let's talk about what we're talking about here. And I think whether that's come from campaigning, because we've seen him where there was a young lesbian woman who was yelling at him and he was like, come up on stage.
Absolutely.
Let's talk.
Let's actually talk.
You had somebody who
that was in Iowa.
You had another person that was sitting outside of his rally and who was holding up a sign and complaining. And he's like, come on inside. It's like, let's talk about this. That, I think, is really disarming and really puts him in a place that's a little bit different than some of the other people.
Nobody else is able to do it quite like he does. And that's why I think he's one of the new conservative minds that years from now, you'll look back at and say, I saw this happen in real time. It's like, and I don't remember seeing it in real time, but Reagan's speech, tear down the wall, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down the wall. I was old. I was alive. But I don't remember it happening on television, so I've only been told about it. And for me to see it in real time going, oh my gosh, and to be able to recognize it, and I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but when he explains something, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And I think he is a star of this party. That's why a lot of people wanted him to be in charge of the RNC and wanted him to really get out there and speak to voters, because I think this is someone voters can understand. Voters can relate to in the regards of, oh, okay, just like Carlos said, he was able to say, hey, come up on stage and let's have this conversation. Because when you do have a conversation and it is based in fact and there's no rhetoric being thrown back and forth and you remove all that, you can actually have some good dialogue. And I think that's going to be his strong suit in the future. It sets us up great. Look, we said it for a long time. We have a bench that we can go to and go, wow, what are we going to do in 2028? Is J.D. Vance going to be ready? Maybe. But you also have Ron DeSantis. You have Vivek. You have so many good, strong leaders that are coming up. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. There are so many strong leaders that are saying, hold on, we care about this nation so much that we have people who are millionaires, billionaires, that would put away everything they have, put it to the side, not make any money, but do things for the American people. And we have to recognize some of that as well, that they're not doing it for the money. And I think that makes them even more impactful.
The listenership for the Breakfast Club, where Charlemagne the God does his morning show, is going to be strongly a Democrat audience. Yet they continue to invite Vivek Ramaswamy on, and he laid out the Kamala Harris tax plan on unrealized capital gains and how that affects farmers and small business owners and how it could trigger a second Great Depression. Listen to this.
For Kamala Harris's part, though, I think she owes the people of this country an answer. Where does she stand on nationalizing healthcare? Are you for it or are you against it? Where do you stand? This is a big one that people don't talk about. Affects small business owners, including black and white business owners across the country. She favors what's called a tax on unrealized capital gains. What that means is, even if you have a business, you're a businessman too, right? So you're operating a business. But take somebody who's maybe in a tougher position than you are. That means you have to pay taxes even when you don't have the cash to pay those taxes, because the government says that it's worth something and you have to pay 25% of that value every year. Well, what if you don't have the cash in your pocket? That forces you to either sell your business, take out a loan to pay taxes. That's a formula for real economic calamity. She has consistently supported that. That's what we need to be talking about. Are you still in favor of it? If so, why? Let's have that policy debate. And I think that hiding from those issues is something that leaves the American people holding the bag.
It certainly does. And for him to have that platform to speak to people who are not even considering voting for Donald Trump and to sit back and understand, what does this tax plan that Kamala Harris is laying out actually mean? I think it's terrific.
Yeah, the reality of it is he broke that down so people understand, because we've talked about it. We talked about it on Friday. This is a land grab idea. That's what the unrealized capital gains is. Farmers will not be able to look at their property that maybe their great-grandfather bought for a certain amount and then have the government come in and yearly, by the way, this is every year that they want you to pay these taxes, go and look at that land that's now maybe worth, because of the inflation and overinflated prices, might be worth $10 million. Now they got to come up with 25% of that or lose their farm. And who do you think is going to take control of their farm? That's the scary part about what they're saying. And people don't realize that. And break it down to smaller people who have owned their homes or got their homes, especially in low income communities, when they go, hey, here's the value now. You got to pay this year. What are you going to do?
At any level.
It's a really bad idea that has gotten glossed over because they're not even talking about the unrealized capital gains tax.
Well, what's going to be wild is that when you look at the amount of new IRS agents, this is what their role will be. And so I'll bring you up just an example. Because we operate a business in Florida, it's based around a rental property. That rental property has gone up significantly. Now, the cash flow off it is nothing crazy. And we pay taxes on that every single year. That's just part of what goes on. Totally fair, totally fine, part of the tax code. But if you suddenly told me, hey, the value of your property, now you have to pay 25% off of that. I'm like, but I haven't sold it. Like you're making up a number and saying I owe you 25%. That's essentially where they're finding out a way to basically get another bite at the apple. And that's the danger of it.
Yeah, and the other part is, and I'm glad you brought that up, because, there are some people who their retirement idea was based on, hey, let's have 5 properties. And let's rent them out. And the rental income will never. So what does that mean, too? Because the people who do own these properties, and even businesses, if they own like an apartment building in some of these cities, like New York, they're privately owned apartment buildings. They're not like big corporations a lot of the times. Well, what happens when they go, well, I'm going to have to pass this down? Who do you think they're going to pass it down to? The rent. So your rent is going to skyrocket. Vivek is exactly right. And when he talks about this, I hope that people on that show listen. The Breakfast Club is primarily a black audience. I hope they hear what's going on, because it is going to affect them.
He's on enough.
Yeah.
I mean, they've invited him on a dozen times.
Yeah, and you know what? There are a lot of families. Like I said, this is a retirement. I'll use my future mother-in-law, Deborah, who was lucky enough to be able to buy some properties at a price when the price was right to be able to buy them. Right now, when you go back and look at these 5-6 different properties they may own, and they have to pay taxes on each one of those based on unrealized gains that they've never gotten the money.
What they tell me it's worth. Now,
she's going to have a choice. Either sell the property and lose it, and guess who's going to come in, or they're going to tax it and take it from them, or she's going to have to raise prices of people that she's kept in those houses that couldn't afford other homes. She's trying to take care of these people. She should be charging them a lot more, and she's not. Guess who's going to have to get charged more? And that's the horrible part, man.
Yeah, it is. It makes it terrible. And anybody who don't see it, or anybody that doesn't see it, is clearly not paying attention. I say that, I feel like, too often, but I don't know how you miss it. I don't know how you miss it.
Joy.
And 96% of the media yelling that from the rooftops. It's all about joy.
Give New York Times, though.
Yeah.
We got to do more. You have to have a better message than joy. Good for them for putting that out. Now follow through and break down everything she said.
That's part of the 4% of the time when they're not putting out just hogwash.
It's interesting when you write a column.
Washington Post does it. The exact same thing.
And you point out joy is not a strategy.
Yeah.
Joy is not a strategy.
But you know why you get that article? Because they are freaking out.
Yeah, they're nervous.
They're like, wait a minute, what do you have that's going to be concrete? When she was speaking on Thursday, and I'm tweeting out how she's losing when it comes to the amount of men because there's no solid policy, you're just afraid of her. Y'all are so afraid you're going to lose. Then it turned into, by Friday afternoon, oh no, the rabbit has the gun.
Yeah, that's right.
Y'all are in some real trouble now. Whoops.
That's exactly right. When we continue on Extra 106.3, Tug, Rhino, and Losen until 10. SCOTUS saved the day and the vote in Arizona. What does it mean? And how does that affect the rest of the nation? Next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. The Kimmer Show is only on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
The Virginia governor, Youngkin, I believe.
Yeah, Youngkin.
Has just basically mandated paper ballots. It's your turn, Brian Kemp.
That's right.
Why this love affair with Dominion voting machines? I don't understand it. Why the love affair that they're forcing us to use these things that we don't trust?
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
When you buy a Subaru from Subaru of Gwinnett, you're buying more than a vehicle. You're buying safety for your family and something that will last a long, long time. In other words, you're buying trust. For a limited time, you can celebrate amazing offers on the all-new Forester, Crosstrek, or Outback during the Subaru A Lot to Love event now through September 3rd. Plus, you can enjoy special financing on select new 2024 Outback models. And you'll love more than just your new Subaru. You'll love the dedicated staff at Subaru of Gwinnett with some of the best service specialists in the area and a team you know you can trust. You'll ride with peace of mind knowing that Subaru of Gwinnett has your back. During the Subaru A Lot to Love event, you'll find that Subaru model you've always dreamed about at a price that makes that dream come true. But you'll need to get in by September 3rd to take advantage. We'll make it easy. Just start with a test drive. And before you know it, you'll be in the Subaru you love. Start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com. Then stop by on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth. SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Low on energy? Struggling with inflammation and poor digestion? Try Encapsulate 6-Mushroom Blend and get back in the game. Our blend is specially formulated to promote overall wellness and maximize health benefits using 6 powerful functional mushrooms. Our science-forward approach offers the most potent and bioavailable mushroom supplement on the market, backed by third-party testing to ensure safety and efficacy. Order online on Amazon or encapsulateusa.com today to start your journey to better living. Enter promo code 680 for $10 off.
Diamonds Direct Atlanta is now open. The nation's fastest growing jewelry store now is a location right here in Buckhead. Shopping for the perfect ring to pop the question? Or maybe an everyday diamond tennis bracelet? The experts at Diamonds Direct are sure to have exactly what you're looking for, no matter the occasion. With the lowest direct importer pricing, you can expect the best selection of certified diamonds at unmatched prices, all within a luxury showroom atmosphere that makes you feel right at home. Come see what other jewelers are trying to replicate. Diamonds Direct's unbeatable after-the-sale guarantees and warranties are the best you can find. Free cleanings, sizing, polishing, accent diamond replacement for the lifetime of your purchase. If that's not enough, they also offer a 110% upgrade policy for you to use as often as you'd like on your diamond engagement ring, pendant, or studs. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, come see how Diamonds Direct is reinvigorating the jewelry industry at their brand new Buckhead showroom. When you want to have complete confidence in your jewelry buying experience, shop with the experts at Diamonds Direct. Now open on the corner of Maple Drive Northeast and Peachtree.
You're out with friends and a few drinks becomes a few too many and you decide to drive anyway. What's the worst that can happen? Drive sober or get pulled over?
What's up, Atlanta? It's Ben Burnett, host of the Weekend Ben Burnett Show. Each and every weekend, right here on Extra 106.3, we unpack all the week's events. We talk about all the issues with a local Atlanta-based flavor. You can catch me each and every weekend, Saturdays at 2 and Sundays at noon. If you ever miss an episode, you can go to the podcast park or wherever you download all of your content, and I'll be right there. Thanks for listening to the Ben Burnett Show, proudly brought to you by Butler Snow.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. Impeachable conduct, the totality of the corrupt conduct uncovered by the committees, is egregious. A concerted effort to conceal President Biden's involvement in the family's influence peddling scheme. These are the findings of a trio of House committees led by Republicans into the conduct of President Biden. It's the final report of the GOP's impeachment inquiry into the president. But don't expect an impeachment vote. That's because at this stage, a prospective vote to impeach President Biden would likely fail on the floor. Why? It's about the math. There are at least a couple of dozen House Republicans who oppose impeachment. One senior House GOP leadership source characterized a vote now as moot. Fox has told Republicans soured on impeachment when President Biden decided against seeking re-election. Moreover, a vote on impeachment would put moderate Republicans from swing districts in a bind as the GOP tries to maintain its slim majority. A botched impeachment vote would also undercut the Republicans' report itself and constitute an unforced error. Still, hardliners could try to force a vote on impeachment in September. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Miss any of the show? No sweat. Grab your Extra 106.3 app and listen to show replays whenever you want. Download the Extra app now for Apple and Android by searching for XTRA 106.3.
Morning Extra and Extra 106.3, Doug Rhino and Front Office Lowe's. Before we get into this topic about what happened in Arizona, I do want to point out something that I saw interesting, because you talked about in that last segment, Lowe's, how polling is not looking good for the Democrats. And here is a reason that I know that is correct. Charles Payne from Fox Business tweeted this out about 30 minutes ago. A surefire sign internal polling is not going the way they want. Chris Hayes from MSNBC, he quote tweets him here and says, I really feel duty bound to keep pointing out to people that the Electoral College is insane, unworkable mess and creates wild distortions in the single most important election in the country that literally don't exist in any other election. Dude, in panic mode about the Electoral College.
The view going into the RFK Jr. speech, and he talked about it during his speech, was that he saw within their polling that it was going to be close, that maybe neither candidate was going to get to the 270 mark.
270, yeah.
And that, it's going to be right about here. Well, now what the polling looks more and more is, oh no, if he's turning Pennsylvania, as much as the numbers look like they're saying, if he was polling as high as he was with Democrats or people that want to vote for him, it becomes this landslide. And so when you have the Chris Hayes of the world complaining about the Electoral College, it's because under the founding of the country, major metropolitan areas were not supposed to decide who the representatives were.
Because the blue major metropolitan areas would love to get rid of the Electoral College, so only New York City and Los Angeles and places like that decide who's elected president. That's the importance of the Electoral College.
This is starting to really, be one of the things they fall to because, well, they know they're losing on issues. They know that Donald Trump is gaining momentum.
Yep.
So
what issues?
Yeah, they have
right, exactly. And that's the problem. Well, you can find the issues because Donald Trump made sure that he published a website, Kamala's2024policies.com. It's brilliant. It's beautiful.
If she won't push them out, we will.
Yeah, I think it's great. But in reality, what do they fall back on now? Oh, well, the Electoral College is garbage. We should go based on just everybody's, the popular vote. And that's been the go-to. Whenever they start to lose, when they lost in 2016, what was the first thing they said? This is ridiculous. We should get rid of the Electoral College. No. If you don't know what the Electoral College is in there for, then you don't deserve to vote.
You're clearly not paying attention. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. The U.S. Supreme Court stays the district court's judgment against requiring proof of citizenship in Arizona. So basically, if you try to vote without proof of citizenship in Arizona, your vote will be rejected, Rhino.
This extreme SCOTUS just following the Constitution. I'm so sick and tired of this.
We better pack the court. That way they can't do that anymore.
A 5-4 ruling. That is disgusting enough that there were 4 people who said, you know what, we shouldn't have to show proof of citizenship in Arizona.
To get into the DNC, yes. To vote, no.
It's so stupid that they continue to fight this. But this, when I saw this ruling and it was 5-4, and I'm like, how do Democrats, how dare they sit here and talk about extreme MAGA, judges, when their judges won't even look or have been on the wrong side of the Constitution in almost every ruling. You want to talk about doing the bidding for your government? That's exactly what their justices have continued to do. Give me one good reason why we shouldn't be allowed to check to make sure that non-citizens aren't voting. I'll open it up to our Democrat friends again. You're more than welcome to call in and give me an argument of why non-citizens should vote in our elections.
Oh, I'll put on my Democrat hat.
Okay, please do.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I like this.
Requiring ID is racism because not all of us have IDs.
Except for you can get ID in any state. Cool. They will issue you an ID.
Right.
Having to have ID is racist.
Right.
Yeah,
but
it's
we
not.
already established that
it's not.
Everybody can get it. What do you mean?
No, it's
racist?
not.
Why are y'all racist?
There you go.
Exactly.
That's it. That's the only thing I get out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the
argument. You hate brown people. Look, you're the one who hates brown people if you think all non-citizens are brown people that come from Mexico. You're the ones that are playing the race game, the race baiting. We're talking about non-citizens. Do you want people who you may think are extreme in the other way coming in and voting in your elections? I doubt it. If you had a bunch of Islamic fundamentalists that were to take to the streets and call for maybe that's
that's probably bad.
That's probably a bad example. But let's say that there was one that did come in and you thought they were way too conservatively extreme. Would you want them voting in your elections? Of course you wouldn't. You wanted to see their IDs because we don't want any of those non-citizens voting.
Well, it's the death blow. If you're going to allow 15, 20, 30 million people into this country, which this administration has, and you're just told, we'll accept it, just deal with it. And so communities like Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Denver are having so many problems with it. They're not really all that accepting of it. But when I say it's a death blow, if you'll allow them to vote, or you'll make up excuses as to why they can, well, then that's the end of that. The vote is like your last line of defense. That is your firewall. Are you going to be in this country? Yeah. You going to drive for Uber? Yeah. You going to show up in my kid's school? Yeah, probably. You're going to go ahead and take away some of our opportunities in ER because you're in there more so getting regular treatment? Yeah. But I can't let you vote.
Right.
There's certain things that I'm just going to have to put up with, but this is the one that has to be the last one that you just cannot allow.
Fascinating, from July 1st of this year, there were 42,000 registered voters in Arizona who could not prove their citizenship status. 42,000.
How sick is that?
You can't come up with a...
Listen,
that's almost like it doesn't sound real. It sounds like a cartoon.
Now, if you just went through the state of Georgia, if you just went through all the ways to prove your citizenship,
right?
I mean, you've got like an endless amount.
There's endless amount, and yet we still had to clean a ton off of our voter rolls as well. And if you don't think it happened in every swing state, in every state, if you don't think that this is a way to get people to come in and really replace some of the low-income families that they have not taken care of over the past 12 out of the 16 years that they've been in control of this government, remember, there was one point where they had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and they didn't do anything for these people. Now, you want to sit here and talk about the one group that's going to uphold the Constitution? Well, the Constitution specifically gives states the power to set their voter qualifications. Part of that in Arizona, when they led this charge, was to ensure that only citizens can vote. That's their constitutional right. And who's the one who challenged the Constitution? The Democrats. Who are the ones that continue to challenge the Constitution? The Democrats. Who are the ones that continue to pass things that are unconstitutional? Who wants to take away the guns? Who wants to take away freedom of speech? The only ones attacking the Constitution, who want to fundamentally change America by allowing non-citizens to vote, are the Democrats.
All right, let's play a game.
Is the game, can 42,000 people sway an election? Is that the game? Oh, sorry.
Here's the game.
Well, we know 12 can.
All right, we're in Arizona. All right,
Arizona.
Neither one of y'all have driver's licenses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, let's just hypothetically. Yeah. Neither one of y'all have driver's licenses. Do either one of y'all have a photocopy of a birth certificate?
I mean, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you have that.
I do have that.
Yeah. Do either one of y'all have a passport?
I do.
Yeah, I do, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How about, do any of y'all have you probably don't have a U.S. naturalization document or alien registration number?
Shucks.
No,
okay,
that I don't.
And the last one is a Bureau of Indian Affairs card number, tribal treaty card number, or tribal enrollment number.
I wish I did, but
probably won't.
Now, if you grew up in Whitfield County like I did, everybody believes they're Cherokee Indian. So
yeah.
So they probably try to apply for one.
132nd.
That's exactly, dude.
Okay, Elizabeth Warren.
Everybody up there thinks they're a descendant of a Cherokee Indian.
5 ways. I don't have a driver's license. 4 other ways you can prove who you are and that you can vote in that state. It's not like it's restrictive.
And quite handily.
It's not restrictive. It's a race-baiting idea. It's a game that they continue to play so that they can cheat. Let's be honest. You want to be honest about it. Let's be honest about it. The only reason you want non-citizens to vote are so that they could cheat. Because if the non-citizens came in and said, you know what, we're going to vote that, hey, we should get all these homes and throw out the low-income families that are already there. None of you going to let them vote then.
See, the important thing is that we have to complain and bitch and everything now, okay? You can't do it once we're all done. Because once we're all done with an election, it's amazing how quickly everybody wants to rub their hands together and go, oh, got all that finished up. All right, totally legal. Everything good. Remember, it was the safest and most secure elections in 2020, even though we saw all the games that were played across all these different states. If you don't complain about it now, you can't say anything in November.
Mm-hmm.
Morning Extra and Extra 1063, 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. You can call them at 770-GET-HEAT or go to centralheat.com. Work with them today. They will make your house the most comfortable it's ever been. With maintenance agreements or a new AC system, whatever you need, they can do it. When we come back on Extra 1063, the RFK speech on Friday was too much for one communist-friendly network to handle. What did they do during that speech to prove that? We'll share it with you next on the Morning Extra. Now, a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 1063.
So-called journalists have a little trick they like to use from time to time to indoctrinate rather than to inform. One of them is to mess around with the headlines to a news story to create a certain message that is certainly not delivered in the body of the news story itself. Now, in Florida, one of the games is make Ron DeSantis look bad. I pointed this out to you in July of this year. A headline in an online news source said, "Final confirmation, Florida government imposes fee on Disney World voters." And they had a picture of Ron DeSantis and the castle at Disney World. Ooh, makes Ron DeSantis look bad, doesn't it? He's still picking on Disney. But what was the story? Ron DeSantis signed legislation that enabled red light cameras in Florida. And some of those red light cameras were going to catch visitors going to Disney World. So that was a fee on Disney World visitors. Another one appeared in a website called Newsbreak. And the headline was, "World reacts to horrible Ron DeSantis news." Oh my goodness. What did Ron DeSantis do now that was so horrible that the entire world is reacting to it? Now, some low information voter would read the headline and, well, there he goes again, embarrassing Florida, doing horrible things, and they'd go on to check their TikTok. But what was the story, if you read further, if you can read? Ron DeSantis went to Ireland to see Georgia Tech play the Florida Seminoles, and Georgia Tech won. So the headline, "World reacts to horrible Ron DeSantis news." That is not journalism, of course. It's indoctrination. Read past the headlines, folks. Neil Bortz, Extra 1063.
On this episode of The Real Houses of Atlanta.
Whoa, Bobby, what's going on?
Well, now that I'm the HOA president, I'm going to start cracking down on the neighborhood.
With a sledgehammer?
Oh, look, this place is looking rough, and nobody's moving right now either. So I'm telling the neighbors it's time to fix up the homes they have.
And what do you suggest?
Well, I'm telling everybody on the block about Exovations. They're right here, and they can get your house the facelift it needs. We're talking new siding, roofing, windows, doors, decks, even porches, patios, and porticos. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to start with Jim next door. Hey, Jimmy, you got a window out. Check the bylaws.
Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Avoid an HOA headache and let us give your home the facelift it needs. We'll introduce you to our ExoVision, our very own architectural design that allows you to envision your home's transformation before you even start the project. Ready for your on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation? Visit exovations.com and book your consultation today.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Extra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Extra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
The campaign trail is heating up. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News, another busy day ahead for the Trump and Harris campaigns.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump are kicking their campaigns into high gear. Former President Trump is heading to Michigan. Today, he'll be speaking at the National Guard Conference. Trump's speech to troops comes on the third anniversary of the attack at Abbey Gate outside Kabul airport, which killed 13 U.S. service members. The Afghanistan withdrawal marked one of the lowest points of the Biden administration. Harris and her running mate Tim Walz, meantime, are getting ready to kick off a bus tour in Georgia. Democrats are hoping to capitalize on their momentum from the Democratic National Convention.
That is Fox's Madeline Rivera. Former President Trump posted to Truth Social that the, quote, botched Afghanistan withdrawal was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. The U.S. sending officials to the Middle East to help cool the temperature after Israel and Hezbollah exchanged rocket fire over the weekend. Fox's Trey Yingst has the latest.
Joint Chiefs Chairman C.Q. Brown is in Israel today for meetings. He will speak privately with Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, I'm told. The top U.S. general's visit comes with American assets spread throughout the region to deter Iran and its proxies from further attacks. With ceasefire talks ongoing in Cairo, once again, at the working level, U.S. officials remain hopeful that a deal to end the war in Gaza could de-escalate regional tension. The talks over the weekend were described as constructive, but they were also immediately rejected by Hamas.
Hamas is calling for Israel to remove troops from the border between Gaza and Egypt. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says a Russian overnight attack involved over 100 missiles and about 100 drones, calling the barrage vile. Zelensky says there were deaths and dozens of injuries, and the attacks damaged the country's energy sector. Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Lviv were all hit. America is listening to Fox News.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten it.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to it. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. Rated PG-13. May not be suitable for children under 13.
Look out, it's only me. It's only the Kimmer. You know, you can download the Kimmer podcast on the Extra 106.3 app, along with a ton of other great shows. Go get it, for crying out loud, now on Apple or Android.
This is for all my brethren up in Dalton, Georgia, up in Whitfield County, where I was born and raised, who believe they're Cherokee Indians.
I'm an Indian outlaw.
I'm telling you, man, when I was growing up, everybody I knew, and go back and ask if y'all want to reach out to Joey Jones on Twitter, because he's very active there, and ask him how many people in his hometown of Dalton, Georgia, claims that they are descendants of the Cherokee Nation. And what happens is, like everybody, it'll be everybody.
Sure.
I bet it's 96%.
Everybody's got at least a 16th, right?
Or yes.
Yeah,
or maybe
more.
maybe smaller.
Or 32nd. 64th.
It could be. I'm telling you. Well, my great grandmother's grandmother.
Right.
You know, it's the way.
I'm on 128th.
Yeah. They're all so proud of it, and everybody's fascinated by Native American culture, Cherokee Indian culture. We're close to, obviously, Cherokee, North Carolina. The Trail of Tears started just north of Dalton, Georgia, at Red Clay, which is an unbelievable little place. If you ever get a chance to go up there, it was part of the Cherokee Nation. And then there's New Echota there in Calhoun. I mean, there's so much Native American, specifically Cherokee Indian, just history through that
it's
area.
Beautiful.
No,
I love it.
And it's
Hiawassee the same. Like I love going to some of the original sites that they've kept and
for sure
and taken care of. I love the mounds and the Etowah mounds.
Etowah Indian Mound.
I love all of that.
So fascinating. I never claimed that I was Indian because I loved it and appreciated it and saw it so much.
I bought Elizabeth Warren's cookbook and I've cooked from that cookbook. So I am definitely part of the indigenous tribes.
You're definitely a Native American.
I always joke around with my daughters about how when it comes to college education and when we start putting together those things, you're going to mark like every single box
check every
possible.
box.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got a bunch of boxes though.
I know.
You got a bunch of
their grandfather is like 1/16. Like
Native American?
Yes.
Oh wow.
My father-in-law, his family's like
do you
tiny
really
amount.
do?
Yeah, like
y'all checking every box.
Dude, Embry, he checks that box. He has family where he can say, here's the actual
I got
Indian
zero.
tribe.
Zero, I can tell you that. Maybe it'd be like some crazy number way out there, but I'm going to claim zero on that. But I would love it, man, because if I had any, I'd be like, I'm moving to a reservation right now, man. I'm getting away from all the crazy Americans.
Oh, yeah, man.
White people are awful.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm always curious about the 23andMe. Now, I'm not going to submit my stuff in there.
But I really would love to know, too, but I'm not willing to give up my DNA. Even though every piece of information about you now is on the dark web and being sold.
I mean, I guess you could lie, and then if someone said, well, show me proof, be like, get out of my safe space, right. And then you're fine.
No, but it just handing someone over your DNA just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Like, I have a friend of mine, he came back, and it was a significant amount of Neanderthal.
Yes.
Now that
huge forehead,
but that was actually advantageous to know that because there were certain illnesses that run in his family that they handle. Somebody who handles a little bit more better when they have that much Neanderthal to them.
Yeah,
I love
pretty
that.
wild.
I have so much Neanderthal in there.
I did it.
You did the 23andMe or Ancestry?
I did both. Okay. But I did 23andMe. It didn't tell me anything I didn't know. So it's just you're really, really, really white.
I've seen
super white.
Man, all it came back just said white privilege.
White privilege.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So since you did
just
both
stamped
of them,
in red, privileged.
Because I've seen it where people get conflicting results out of because people who've done both 23andMe and Ancestry, they get conflicting results.
So
all of yours
break
just
it down
said,
a little further.
Just said
Super
Elmer.
white.
It just said Elmer's glue.
So I'm a 13th generation American.
Okay.
Which is where Virgin comes from. My ancestors came to Jamestown.
Yeah.
It was cool. One of them,
Slave
Captain
owners.
Reason Virgin, was a captain in the American Revolution.
Okay, that's cool.
One of my ancestors, I read the death certificate, and it was at a bar, and it was bludgeoned to death, which I thought was awesome. Blood force trauma to the head.
Yeah, I can understand that. I've been alone with you and
That's right.
wanted to bludgeon you a few times.
There are
so I get
times
it.
where
Us virgins are really annoying.
Yeah.
And very inexperienced.
He's very inexperienced.
He's making me call him captain.
That's right.
Captain.
No, I will not. Ow!
He's a virgin. He's never done anything.
Oh, man.
Who's he talking to?
I think we're going to have to call him Captain Joe Virgin River.
That's
He's just
right.
adding
Yeah,
that name.
I love that. The fact that we just add.
I was trying to listen to
the
high school
nameless.
football the other night, and to hear them refer to him as Joe Virgin, I was like, hey, you're missing something here.
Don't you know what his name is?
Westy calls me just JV.
He calls him JV or Joe Virgin. I'm like, hey, something else here.
I can see JV, though. That kind of goes along with the high school football team, right? Yeah, that actually makes sense.
That's where that came from.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But, I mean, if he's going to call you Joe Virgin at any point, he needs to get it right and call you the full length of your name, Captain Goey Virgin River. Okay? Let's get it right, Westy. I mean, come on.
Don't shortchange the man.
Absolutely not. It's filthy. That's what it is. Y'all remember last week when there was supposed to be a surprise guest at the DNC? Do y'all remember who that surprise guest was supposed to be?
At the time, they were trying to spin it was Beyonce.
That's right. That's right.
Or another superstar.
Turns out there was a surprise guest. But
Oh,
we're not finding out about it until
we
now.
missed.
We missed all the COVID cases. If this were 3 years ago, the DNC would have been a super spreader event. Apparently, there are droves of people coming down with COVID who were at the DNC. And is it like, here's Yasmin Taib, I think is the way I pronounce her name, if that's correct. If not, you can correct me.
It's so
404, yeah, or sue me, either one. Indeed, I arrived at the DNC healthy and hopeful and then left very sick and disillusioned. This is a human rights lawyer. That is Yasmin Taib on X, or Twitter, as we like to call it. But that's the thing. So many people are coming down with this COVID, this strain of COVID that's got everybody sick.
Don't worry.
In the bathroom.
FDA just approved more stuff, too. You're all good.
Good. I hear Remdesivir. What is it called?
Remdesivir.
Thank you.
Well,
get it all back.
I'm injecting bleach. So I don't know what you guys are doing.
But they say that stuff's horrible for your kidneys, too. I was reading that this weekend.
Oh, don't try and tell anybody in the medical profession that, or
I'd never.
The complete nutcases.
Yeah, I'd never.
Like, I had an entire weekend of people one time telling me, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Remdesivir causes kidney failure. I'm like, it causes kidney failure.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It's got a black box warning for just that reason, and it was why that when you had a previous outbreak of like swine flu, they stopped using it.
Tough news. Jeez. I hate that they had to find
don't do any research.
Just close your eyes.
Just make things up, throw it out there.
By the way,
I'm not listening.
Did you not find it fun to, when you remember, these are the mask people, okay? They're all the mask people. For a respiratory virus, it's way too small for their mask to be effective, yet they wear it and signal it to each other. Had they not gotten all their shots and all their boosters, then they wouldn't have had the imprinting on their system that allows them to avoid COVID.
Too bad.
Their body knows how to look for a version of the illness that is no longer on the planet.
Too bad y'all had a super spreader event. We need to bring back super spreader. You know that that word.
That's a good one.
I was a super spreader by myself.
I know.
Literally killed thousands.
Let's
I was
celebrate
a super
it.
spreader too. I like being a super spreader.
And now the Democrats do too, clearly.
Oh, and I didn't get my kid a vaccination.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, was I bad.
Oh, just rotten to the core. Rotten to
You're
the
going to
core.
send them to school to kill all the other kids? Sure am.
I am, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
Those kids
do your
are
own
just
research.
Fine.
They'll fine.
9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. Look you in the eye, shake your hand, do exactly what they say they're going to do, make your house the envy of the neighborhood with all the things that they do on the exterior of your home. Those CNN has been called the Communist News Network as long as I remember, at least the better part of 20 years, if not longer. And they just could not handle what was happening when RFK Jr. took the stage to make his announcement.
So much fun on Friday because I went and did it just through the internet feed. Mm-hmm. So I pulled it up. I listened to whatever it was, hour and 20-some minutes. I listened to all of it. And I was mesmerized. I was enjoying it because there were so many things that him and I, it's not, I would say this. There's probably like 30% of stuff where I go, I'm completely with you. The other 70, I'm not. But the 30% I'm really into. So I started thinking about it in terms of, looking around the internet, seeing what everybody else was saying. And it was amazing to see how few news networks were either covering it or had cut away from it. I want you to take a listen to this. This is CNN. This is what it sounded like as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is starting to talk about his endorsement of Donald Trump and how quickly, as they start realizing what's going on, they got to cut away from it.
At the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days.
We've been listening to
He is telling the truth about how Kamala Harris has not received one single vote. I mean, he is trashing the entire Democrat Party, and they're finally like, we got to jump out of this thing. He's killing us.
He is giving fact. He is speaking well.
We will not allow facts on our airwaves.
His voice may drive you crazy, but he's spitting fact.
Not to me.
Yet they would never cut away from a word salad from Kamala Harris as it just goes in this ridiculous circle. They keep playing it and listening like just the sheep they are. But the reality is everything that they have failed to cover, because that's what it is. Everything that they failed to say, cover, or give any kind of information to voters, which is pretty much election interference, this is just another version of how they want to shut down an opposing voice.
Anytime you bring up what's actually happening in the Democrat Party, they are not going to stand for it. I mean, look at the backlash from the leftists that RFK Jr. has received.
Yeah.
I bet some of them a week ago probably didn't pay him that much of attention because, look, he'd been banished from the Democrat Party, and that's where their vote was going anyway. But now all of a sudden that he has come out and supported Donald Trump, he is just as evil. He is just as low down. He is just as despicable to people like CNN and networks like CNN, and then probably many Democrat voters.
Are they going to pull the misinformation card like they do with Donald Trump?
Yes.
Like, we can't allow someone to go on there and lie about what's happening to him?
Rachel Maddow will be out there waving the flag, probably.
How can they do that, though? Carlos, how can they sit there and say anything he said is false?
They can't.
They can.
That's why they cut away from all
That's why they
it.
cut it.
They can, though. And will, as soon as they start talking about him, they will lie about him just like they lie about Trump.
But I think what was so important about Friday, and to hear the way that CNN covered it, there was not one thing that was said there that was emotional. There was not one thing that was said at that time that was not factual.
Or inflammatory, even.
It was just, here's where I differ with the Democrat Party because here's how they're running it, and it's not democracy. And he started to explain in the simplest case, unpopular people that keep you're being told they're supposed to be popular.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Joe Biden. Nobody loved Joe Biden. Everybody loves Kamala Harris. Nobody loves Kamala Harris. Yet this is what they're trying to sell to you. And so, yeah, if you told me that it was just like one lie after another lie or a statement or something I got wrong.
Or even one lie.
Okay, I get it. But that was not what they cut away from him for.
No.
Not because he was lying.
If they were like, they tripped me on the way to the stage or made up something, but the reality is they kept him out of this. So the reality is they installed a candidate and his family going back knowing their record, because we want to go back to records and talk about RFK and JFK. You're going to realize these guys took that on in a different way. They would have never have allowed this. But everybody that comes out, Tulsi Gabbard's supposed to endorse Trump today. It's going to be another big day for Donald Trump. This is something that the Democrats are starting to lose control over, and they will do anything they can to cut away from any kind of positive coverage any of these people will get.
Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. I'm part of the group of folks that are bummed to hear Trump talking about reproductive rights, which really means to me, at what point can you kill your baby? Now, I know it's going to be a bumpy road for me and other people who are staunch pro-life advocates, people that really, really care about this issue. But I also understand the alternative is Kamala Harris and the Democrats, which is killing your baby seconds before it's born, and they are in favor of it. They don't even hide from it in many situations. So I understand the need to negotiate, and Trump did what no other president has ever done, and that is overturning Roe versus Wade, handing it back to the states, and I think that's the right spot for it. But this is going to be a tricky thing to talk about, because it does make people like me feel less than joyous to steal a line from the Democrat Party, less than joyous about reproductive rights, because anytime I hear that, I know it is awful. What comes behind that is awful. But I understand negotiation as well.
Yeah.
Because the alternative's even worse.
You know, it is really hard. This is why I think Republicans and everybody else kind of need to go based on things that actually matter to most of America. But the reality of it is it's a hard thing to navigate, because based on the way the Constitution is set up, Donald Trump did exactly what was supposed to be done. We overturn it on a federal level and we send it back to the states to make the decision.
Oh, that's correct.
I'm hoping that I live in a state that understands that and makes more sense. Am I happy with the direction that we've taken it so far? Do I think that we could really protect lives by really looking at this? Yes, I do. And I think that we need to be honest with this entire program. But at the same time, in reality, it doesn't affect me and my family right now. What does is the grocery prices and the other stuff.
So this will make you sick. And this was from the Wall Street Journal, and this is back in March. So remember, things change, attitudes change. What's going to motivate you to go to the poll is going to change. But back in that period, this is March 17th, 24th, you had 919 registered voters that were women. And if you asked them about what their issues, what was motivating them the most, well, immigration was 16%. Inflation was sitting at 4%. Mm-hmm. Abortion was 39%.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to talk about this. I think
Absolutely.
J.D. Vance made it a really good point of saying we do not support a federal ban.
Yeah.
After that, it is what they've been saying, which is we're let the states decide.
Yeah, which is where it should be.
Do.
And I agree with
That's
that.
what
I do agree.
Gotta
with that.
stay
It should
there.
be at the states.
But you got to stay there. You can't get into the emotional responses. That's the biggest problem that Republicans have. Democrats are going all on emotion. Your daughters, your granddaughters, it's all pulling on emotion. The fact of the matter is this. Even with returning this to the states, there were more abortions than there have ever been.
Yeah.
It's not like it's slowing it down. In fact, people are not
speeding up.
The access to abortion has not gone away. So all the lies of it and taking it away, that's a big problem. I agree. We need to continue on. Hey, this is a states' right. Leave it there. This has nothing to do with the federal election. We're only going to talk about federal things. But I think J.D. Vance just saying, hey, if it gets to the desk that it's a federal ban, we're vetoing it.
I just, anytime I hear reproductive rights, I know that is Democrat buzzworthy.
Yes.
That is Democrat buzzwords.
Well, killing babies doesn't seem to roll well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it hasn't really worked out well. Hey, come to the DNC. We have a killing baby truck out front.
Dude.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right.
How embarrassing is that? How disgusting and embarrassing is that?
Any man that lined up and got their snip at the DNC,
nobody did.
Is not really a man.
No way.
Nobody
It's
did.
not comfortable enough to do that and then go
Unless
sit.
Nobody did it.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to go cheer on Kamala.
Yeah, sitting on a bag of peas. I mean, if I can make it down the
Are there
steps.
numbers? Like, they got to have, like, a release of how many people got the snip.
I didn't see any number.
How many abortions?
25 was the last I'd heard, and
You
that
had
was on
25 abortions at a convention. That is
25
sick.
babies killed. Oh. Anyway. All right, Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. When we come back, no surprise that the FBI is dragging its feet on the most recent assassination attempt in American history. We'll discuss it next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. We're on the air until 10. Then the Glenn Beck program from 10 until noon. After that, noon to 3, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, the biggest show in all of conservative media. And then the local afternoon show with the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder, The Kimmer Show. 3 until 6 only on Extra 106.3.
Extra 106.3 is the only station in Atlanta to bring you unedited news, information, and updates. With an all-star lineup of local and network voices, Extra is committed to being the station you need during the biggest election of our lifetime.
This presidential election is unlike any other.
Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station is Extra 106.3 FM, and listen across Georgia on the Extra app.
If you notice any cracks in your foundation, they're not going to go away. They need to be addressed as soon as possible to reduce additional costs that come with repair. Ramjack is the best company in the industry for repairing your foundation. We have the highest quality products in the nation. So, if you are experiencing foundation problems, please contact us at ramjack.com/Atlanta or call us at 770-502-8881. That's 770-502-8881.
Hey, it's Tug from my friends, the Frost family of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about their family's company all the time here on Extra 106.3. First Liberty has helped hundreds of small businesses grow by saying yes when the big banks say no. On Wall Street, opportunities to earn big returns are everywhere. But for Main Street investors, those opportunities are hard to find. Until now. Our First Liberty notes are now open to qualified Main Street investors, paying interest rates of 8 to 13% while helping fuel the growth of small businesses right here in Georgia. With a few basic qualifications and with as little as $25,000, qualified Main Street investors just like you can earn an 8 to 13% interest rate. If this is you, they'd love to hear from you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and consider joining the First Liberty family today. That's FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, the Marketing Mad Men. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Mad Men every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Extra 106.3.
Principal Support Analyst, CSO, WMI positions offered by Manhattan Associates Incorporated in Atlanta, Georgia. Manage projects to include coordination of all aspects of new customer modifications and rollout from inception to installation. Oversee schedules and budgets to ensure quality products and timely services. Up to 50% travel required. Employee reports to office in Atlanta, Georgia. Position may work from home but must live within commuting distance of stated office. Apply online at www.manih.com/about-us/careers.
When you buy a Subaru from Subaru of Gwinnett, you're buying more than a vehicle. You're buying safety for your family and something that will last a long, long time. In other words, you're buying trust. For a limited time, you can celebrate amazing offers on the all-new Forester, Crosstrek, or Outback during the Subaru A Lot to Love event now through September 3rd. Plus, you can enjoy special financing on select new 2024 Outback models. And you'll love more than just your new Subaru. You'll love the dedicated staff at Subaru of Gwinnett with some of the best service specialists in the area and a team you know you can trust. You'll ride with peace of mind knowing that Subaru of Gwinnett has your back. During the Subaru A Lot to Love event, you'll find that Subaru model you've always dreamed about at a price that makes that dream come true. But you'll need to get in by September 3rd to take advantage. We'll make it easy. Just start with a test drive. And before you know it, you'll be in the Subaru you love. Start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com. Then stop by on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth. SubaruofGwinnett.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
All right, here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Monday, August 26th. A 16-year-old from Rome was taken into custody after 4 men were found dead at Pleasant Grove Park in Whitfield County. Deputies received a call of shots being fired and arrived at the park in Dalton to find 4 men dead. A 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 17-year-old. The GBI said they believe multiple weapons were involved. The 16-year-old was charged with 4 counts of felony murder. Investigators are asking the public to help locate an SUV and a dark-colored hatchback, saying the vehicles would have sustained gunshot damage. The investigation is ongoing. An investigation into contraband is being smuggled into the Fulton County Jail has led to more arrests of jail contractors. The contractors were arrested for smuggling $1 million worth of drugs into the facility. 6 people arrested and 5 more have warrants out for their arrest and are being searched for by authorities. Protesters gathered outside the Fulton County Jail yesterday, calling for the resignation of Sheriff Patrick Labatt. And in sports, the Braves could not complete the sweep of the Washington Nationals yesterday, falling 5-1 at Truist Park. Matt Olson hit his 22nd homer of the season in the loss. The Braves now head to the Twin Cities to take on the Minnesota Twins. The 3-game series will begin tonight at 7:40. Max Fried will be on the mound for the Braves. You can catch all the action on our sister station, 680 The Fan.
Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra until 10. I am blown away the fact that they are allowing Donald Trump to lay wreaths at Arlington National Cemetery right now at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I am absolutely blown away by this. The DOD controls, it's obviously the Marine Corps that are the folks that are there at the tomb, or is it Army? Maybe Army. But regardless, it is a branch of the military, so DOD would control that. Who's in charge of the DOD? Well, that would be the federal government. Who's in charge of the federal government?
In reality, we don't have anyone in charge right now.
So maybe
Biden's not there. Harris isn't there. Nobody even knows he's doing this. Biden's not there.
That's right.
Kamala Harris
He's
isn't there.
vacationing in Delaware. You're exactly right.
Nobody else
to stop him.
Right.
He's just walking. He might as well just take the White House back over right now.
He didn't know these 13 people died.
Well, look, they said nobody did.
Nobody died.
Remember, that's what he said.
So if you're not going to claim these 13 heroes, if you don't want to honor these 13 heroes, well, thank God we have someone that will.
I am on the Arlington National Cemetery website trying to figure out how in the world this is happening. And if I run across it, if I figure it out, I will share it with you. But I'm telling you, I can't believe they're allowing this to happen. I mean, I'm glad they are. I mean, those families deserve this closure on the 3rd anniversary. I don't know, anniversary is not the word. The 3rd.
You know what it might have been? They might have asked the family.
Yeah, it could
because the families do not want Joe Biden anywhere near them. Yeah. So maybe they asked the families, like, hey, how do you feel about this? And they said, we don't want Kamala Harris there. We don't want Joe Biden there. We would rather have Donald Trump. That cares about us there.
Well, it's smart to start with.
Sure.
But beyond that, knowing that this is one of the foreign policy decisions that looks so incredibly ridiculous when you just look at the videos again of everything that happened on that day and leaving those airports, and then seeing the Taliban 3 years later basically rolling through with all of our equipment,
and
$80 billion worth of it, just showing it off to you. This is something that Kamala Harris can't ever step forward and put out a tweet or anything else saying like, hey, we remember our 13 heroes because you were the last one in the room, remember?
Yes.
That was your brag about it.
Yeah, that was your power trip in that moment. Yeah.
I was making the call. I was the last one in the room. Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably not a good idea to admit that if you're trying to run for president and be the commander-in-chief over the United States military. But look, like I said, I'm proud that it's happening, and I think it's a wonderful way to mark the loss of so many important lives, American lives, who died serving their country. There's no greater way to do than to lay one's life down. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. Morning Xtra and Extra 106.3. The next thing you ain't gonna believe is what is being reported or discussed by Catherine Rampell of the Washington Post. Published an opinion piece saying the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, is a modern-day sex symbol, a fantasy man, the ideal partner. And why? Why is he so sexy? Why are women just tripping over themselves to worship at the altar, not of Ryan Gosling, but at Doug Emhoff? It's because he's secure in his own masculinity, enough to prioritize his wife's ambitions over his own. He's so hot. That Doug Emhoff is so damn sexy.
Oh, my
Good
God.
Lord. He's going to be on GQ's Sexiest Man issue coming up later this year. Mark my words. Write this down. It is going to happen. He is going to be America's Sexiest Man. I'm waiting for it. Mark my words. It's coming.
Yeah, okay.
How do they keep trying to, and this being like the news media, pop culture, and it's always in their best political interest, but how are they constantly trying to redefine attractiveness, sexiness to us? Like, I was told that for the better part of the last 4 or 5 years that you can be as fat as you want. You're beautiful.
Look,
all right.
Hey, I'm not. Look, you guys you make jokes all you want. He knocked up his nanny, so obviously she thought he was hot.
Yeah, and Kamala thinks he's hot too. I mean, she stuck around.
Yeah.
So
there's typically some power involved in all this.
This is what we have. This is the Democrats. The Democrats might as well just put their entire campaign on People magazine, because that's all it is. It's a celebrity rich, hey, look at the concert. Hey, we're not lying to you. Beyonce might show up. Yeah, we're lying to you because our ratings suck and we got to figure out a way to get people to watch. So we're going to lie to you about that. Doug Emhoff, he's the hottest. Are we going to get to issues, or are we just going to play People magazine Democrats? Like, give me your issues, because none of you can. I spent this whole weekend talking to some really nice people, smart people, very smart. And I was like, wow, you're a Democrat. Yeah. Okay. Talk to me. Where do you think we're going with, what do you think Kamala's going to do? Well, I don't know. She's going to bring joy. No. I'm talking about like the economy. Well, once the, joy sets in, we're all going to, no. How are we going to? Stop. Give me something. Well, there were 4 people that were in his cabinet that didn't. I mean, we have Beyonce, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, no. This is a huge problem for our country right now, that we are basically voting on People magazine's sexiest people.
Last year, it was Patrick Dempsey. The year before that, it was Chris Evans.
Yeah.
2024.
I get that.
Doug Emhoff. Let's
stop. We're not redefining this thing in this way. There's just no way.
They're going to do their best. They're going to do it. I mean, how do you take the focus, just like Rhino was saying, how do you take the focus off of the things that need to be discussed and actually talk about things that have no relevance whatsoever?
I'm glad they chose a man. I was waiting for Dylan Mulvaney to be the sexiest man in America.
Fair point.
Just everything is such a joke at this point.
I mean, I got to go through the list and just be like, okay, at what point did you give me one where I go, I don't know, because every single one of these I can go, yeah, that dude is totally like a man.
I understand why chicks dig him.
Like when you put Michael B. Jordan out there, I was like, totally get it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I get that.
When you do Adam Levine,
Jason Momoa,
totally get it. Thank you very much. We're not redefining this to it be a frumpy middle-aged man, frumpy older man who, just looks like he would sweat if he even like looked at like a bicycle.
Yeah.
Al Bundy, sexiest man. What about Elliot Page?
Yeah, right.
Is Elliot Page on there? Isn't that that guy's name now?
I don't know. I have no idea.
That girl guy, what was her?
Was that the
guy?
It's Elliot.
It is Elliot Page,
What
right?
was it prior to that, though?
Ellen Page.
Ellen. Yeah. Was she Disney? Is it?
No, she was the actual legit movie star.
Juno. Juno was, fantastic.
It's a great independent movie. She was in some of the Marvel movies.
I never seen it. Okay. All right.
But she also brought up that she was sexually molested 3 different times on 3 different sets, and that's part of the reason, in my opinion, you now have this woman who decided to turn man so that you'll stop touching me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
pretty simple diagnosis, but she did talk about this being a contributing factor to how she views herself.
I would look, if somebody abused me in that regard, I would change. Like, if my appearance caused them to do that to me, I would understand the mental.
I think that's an extreme
health issue of saying, "Hey, I need to protect." Well, of course it's extreme.
Of course, what happened to her is not normal either.
No, it's not.
That's extreme
not. But
too.
I know people who have gone through this, and none of them have changed their sex.
They might have gotten help,
or whatever.
They may have gotten help for somebody that. Maybe.
But you're also talking about a world when it comes to Hollywood that there's nothing about it that is like what you normally have.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's right. Why do you think I hate it so
much? Like the person who gets sexually molested, and I know people like that too, and they go about their life and realize, all right, I still got to go to my job, I still got to go to do this, I still have to grow up, and you deal with it in the way you deal with it.
That's right.
Hollywood doesn't allow such things to happen in that way.
That is an honest assessment, for sure.
That's why
Hollywood is disgusting.
If we try
it's
like what I always say.
Everything about it.
We can't apply our standards and our belief system to much of these things because the communists, they have their own belief system and it's nothing like ours.
No, it is twisted and turned and awful. Extra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station.
By the way, there's not one dude in here who's been people's sexiest man alive where I would say, oh, that's a little questionable.
Yeah, well, wait till it's dug him off. And then all of a sudden,
I mean, the only one.
It'll throw everything into a tailspin.
In '92, Nick Nolte had it going on.
Yeah, he did.
All right,
that's fair.
People's sexiest man in here goes
Tom
from
Cruise
Mel
has
Gibson,
got to be on the list
Mark
somewhere, right?
Harmon, Tom Cruise.
I knew it.
Yeah. There's
not Doug Burgum.
No, we're not going down this road, people.
I
need my men sexy.
Yes. I love it.
Doug Berg. Look, my favorite video, by the way, of the weekend was Doug Emhoff not protecting his wife when that male protester jumped on stage and stole the microphone, and he kind of backed off.
Yeah, he's like, oh,
that's your man of the year, huh?
That's what sexy is, right?
That's
there.
Your sexy man.
That's
cowering in a corner as a guy with a man bun comes up and steals it.
That's the lowest.
Dude, it's like I thought you were in a fantasy football league and you were tough, bro.
Yeah. Turns out
playing fantasy football with my boys.
Turns out not so much.
Not so much.
Ron Johnson is not allowing this whole Secret Service thing to fall by the wayside, and rightfully so, man. This is unbelievable, and you've seen Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, talking about it even this morning about how the Democrats and the FBI and everybody else involved dragging their feet, making sure that there's no way to find out anything specifically before the election is my guess. But they want this to go away, and the Republicans, thankfully, are not allowing it to, because it's one of the many agencies that need to be torn down to the foundations and either just left that way, gotten rid of altogether, or recreated in a way that will actually benefit the public.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is this, and you know what? Democrats get behind it, because I know all of you are saying, I don't even believe that he was truly assassinated. This was a setup by the Trump campaign, and they did this. Why aren't they investigating it? Well, that's a great question, and I'm glad that Ron Johnson, the Republican out of Wisconsin, stood up and said, hey, I can tell you right now that the Senate, we are bipartisan. We're doing an investigation. We want to figure out what happened in the attempted assassination of former President Trump. But the Secret Service and the FBI are really not giving us the information. What are they hiding from us? What are they doing? All they can tell you right now is that they're dragging their feet.
I need a few answers on just a couple simple questions. If you were to tell me this was a systematic set of failures, and okay, let's explain each one and how they contributed to the other. I think then you have to start explaining to me, so why exactly was there an FBI device pinging near his home and heading back and forth to D.C.? I was like, kind of sounds like you got a handler.
That's weird.
Explain this portion to me, because that's been part of the public record, and not one person has been able to explain why this was going on and have that kind of clarity to tell you exactly, hey, maybe we suspected that this person was an extremist. We were looking into them. There's your answer. That was not the one they've given so far.
Yeah, and not only that, they're not getting anything out of the FBI or the Secret Service. What they have gotten is redacted, and they have asked for all the 302s. And 302s are transcripts of the interviews that they had with all the Secret Service and hundreds of individuals that may be involved in setting up this entire campaign rally at Butler. And they're not getting any of those. They're not getting any of the interviews. You would think if there was an assassination attempt on a former president, the Secret Service and the FBI would be on top of it right away, opening everything up, not redacting this information from people that are in Congress. They're going to be able to, they should be able to see everything unredacted. And then to sit there and say, you can't have the 302s, you can't see the transcripts. What does that tell you about how you should trust your government right now?
But Los, you shouldn't. Give me a point where
should you ever
give me a point in time where you go, man, the government really told me the truth there. Never. I can't think of one time.
How do we not have a toxicology report on what was on this young man's system?
Well, they want the coroner's already done the autopsy. They've kept everything secret, completely secret.
And why did we then cremate the body so quickly?
That's a great question. I mean,
don't ask that.
The evidence. Because that's why. They don't want the evidence. They don't want to find out. They don't want to know. Or at least they don't want you to know.
Stay on it, Ron Johnson.
That's right, man.
Yeah. Get to the bottom of some
Keep
things.
going. But, they hold themselves above the law. Secret Service, FBI, they don't have to be accountable for their mistakes.
Not to you and I, the peasants. No doubt about it. 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution. Make your home the envy of the neighborhood. They'll look you in the eye, shake your hand, and do exactly what they say they'll do. Give them a call, 877-9-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co. When we come back, there's a comedian who has an answer for kids who always want to make these life-changing decisions like tattoos, and there's a few others that you might throw in there. You might have an idea where I'm going with this, but it's pretty funny. We'll end on a laugh on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's a camera. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
No, I didn't vote for Trump the first time around. I voted Libertarian. I usually do. Will I vote for him this time? Well, I'll say this. No way in hell I would ever vote for Kamala Harris, the most left-wing radical presidential ticket in my lifetime.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Hi, this is Ben.
And I'm Walt from Horizon Background Screening.
I would say anyone who's working in any industry could use our services.
A couple of the clients that people tend to not even think about are churches, volunteer organizations. We do a lot of background checks for referee associations. Anybody who's going to be around kids or older adults or anybody vulnerable, you really need to do a background check that includes a criminal history, a sex offender registry search, and anything else that's really relevant to your organization, just to make sure that the people who you're putting in touch with, kids and other vulnerable people, are who you think they are, and that you're not putting your clientele at risk.
So we're going to help you reduce your risk. We're going to help you hire the right person on the front end so that you don't spend all this time with training and all those kind of things and then realize that wasn't a good hire.
The best way for people to find us is on our website. A quick Google search of Horizon Background Screening, or look at us at horizonscreening.com.
When you're leaving the house, do you plead with your garage door? Please open, please open. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. Let us take that anxiety away with one quick call. Our highly trained technicians will get to the bottom of your garage door issues. It could be a simple repair, a malfunctioning opener, or maybe just needs a tune-up. But if it's time for your garage door to be replaced, we'll make that easy too, with upfront pricing and free estimates. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.com.
Get ready for unfiltered conversations on The Janelle King Show, where we tackle the topics that you won't hear at your family gatherings, but they're absolutely crucial for a strong republic. Don't miss us live every Saturday at 3 p.m. and every Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on Extra 106.3. But if you can't tune in, that's okay. You can catch new episodes every Tuesday on the Podcast Park or wherever you prefer to get your podcasts. Join us for these discussions, and I can't wait to meet you there.
One of the hardest things to do is to walk away from a paycheck. As retirement planners, Masterplan knows how hard it can be to pull the trigger on your own retirement. Don't go it alone. Masterplan is a holistic retirement planning firm that works with you to create a retirement plan to help maximize your golden years. Through income planning and money management, legacy planning, and tax planning, we create a plan specifically designed for your life. Enter retirement with confidence. Contact Masterplan to analyze your retirement outlook and create a plan that's right for you. All initial consultations are complimentary, so contact us today and begin your pursuit towards peace of mind. Visit masterplanretire.com. Masterplan Retirement Consultants. Plan well and prosper.
Advisory services offered through Masterplan Retirement Consultants Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates Inc., DBA Masterplan Retirement Consulting. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Media Minute with Howard Kurtz.
It's not shocking that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would drop out of the race and endorse Donald Trump, something he vowed he would never do. But his attacks on the media, talked about ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined, giving him only 2 live interviews, running a deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate audios, defamatory smears, government mouthpieces. The reason he got so little coverage was he was always a fringe candidate with no hope of winning a state. And, bizarre episodes such as the Great Bear Carcass cover-up. And yet, here he is blaming the media, scapegoating the media for the fact that he got very little coverage. He tried to make a deal with both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, trading promise of a job in a future administration for his endorsement. They didn't bite. He gave up. He endorsed Trump anyway. His family says that's a betrayal. With your Media Minute, Howie Kurtz, Fox News.
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kimmer Show, only on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app.
Tug, Rhino, and Losa on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. I ran across Corey B., a comedian. You can find him on Instagram. I am Corey B. And he does a podcast. He does a few other things. And he talked about kids making decisions that an adult's not ever going to let them make, like getting a tattoo, right? When your kid comes and says, Dad, you got a tattoo? I want to get a tattoo too.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, maybe when you're older, when you make that decision or whatever. There's things that kids won't be able to do and decisions that they won't be able to make. Except for one.
My kid wants to do everything adults do, and I have to remind him that he can't make these decisions yet. Dad, I want to smoke. No, dude, you're too young. Dad, I want to drink beer. This guy's drinking beer. That looks cool. No, you can't drink beer yet. Dad, you got tattoos. I want tattoos. No. That's a lifelong decision. You can't make that. Your medulla oblongata is not big enough to make that decision. You can't decide on that, dude. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. Now I'm afraid of heights. You can't just pick a tattoo at 7 years old. He's like, I can't make any decisions. I'm like, yeah, you can. You chop your off if you want to. What? I can't do nothing about it. You're allowed to do that now. And he said, what? Would I still be a boy? I'm like, no, you'd be trans. Like a transformer? I was like, technically, yeah. Yeah, I guess. I would be an Autobot. No. You'd be a Decepticon.
Oh, the mic drop at the end is so good. You'd
I like
be a
that.
Decepticon.
A Decepticon. I get it.
But the funny part is, like, you want to smoke? Nope, you can't do it.
Nope.
You want a tattoo? Nope, can't
Nope.
do it. You want to get your business cut off? Have at it.
Have a beer?
They can't stop
Go
me.
for it.
They can't stop. They
I got a
can't
beer,
stop
though,
me
right?
from stopping you.
So
you know?
stupid.
Dude, so funny. And the fact that he hit it at the end was good. And it was that mic drop moment, and the crowd goes wild. But again, we talked about Jon Stewart earlier being okay with being funny again. And that's kind of what Corey B's doing.
It is such a weird dynamic that this wasn't funny at one point, and now people just see the ridiculousness and where we've been over the past 4 years.
Well, we're behind. We've already seen we're across Europe. They've already decided this type of, I'm using finger quotes here, care is not in the best interest of these patients. It's not in the best interest of these kids. And so to now have at least our comics looking at this and going, here's a mirror. Look how ridiculous this looks.
It is.
Exactly right.
And I love that
It
part.
continues to be.
Because we heard all through 2019, 2020, 2021 about better get your kids vaccinated. We want to keep your kids safe. We want to make sure, you got to get this done. We're trying to protect kids. And then you could cut this off. You're not protecting kids.
No,
you're not protecting
allowing
kids.
them to make life-changing decisions.
Right.
Like, I would let them get a tattoo before I let them do that.
Would you allow a child to say, I don't want the vaccine? No, you wouldn't allow that. You didn't allow that. And yet you're going to allow a child to really dismember themselves? Ugh, it's so stupid.
Comedy's going to save the day, man.
I hope so.
Me too.
As much as we can get of it.
Yeah.
But, it's going to take the strong one. Ricky Gervais. This guy has no fear of talking about these kind of things. I mean, his special was great. Dave Chappelle's special was great. Joe Rogan special was unbelievable. And why? Because they're showing you the ridiculous trap that Democrats have fallen into. Democrat voters. The Democrats set this trap. And you voters jumped in like, yeah, every child should be able to cut his... Wait a minute, what? That's what I'm cheering for?
Here you go. Here's the mirror. Look at yourself celebrating this and looking like a complete fool. A complete and utter nonsense.
Because you know what? I know a lot of Democrats, and if their kids said to them, hey, this is what I'm doing, that rhetoric that they said
would change
real quick. Oh, no, you're not. That's fine for Jimmy down the street. His parents are weird. We're not.
That is the strange thing for me is that everything turns into... I back all this rhetoric. I back all of these things that are being talked about on the platform, but not in my house.
Right.
Yeah, right.
It is the ultimate NIMBY. Not in my backyard.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
I wanted to basically do more of this stuff over at the border, but I don't want to live near the border.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
It's these policies that come across as just comedic when you have them try and explain them.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'm all for these illegal immigrants taking up shelters in Chicago. Where do you live? Peoria.
Yeah.
I had a moment yesterday. I'll tell you guys about it. And saved it for the end of the show. Had volleyball practice. I went down the street to the neighborhood bar to watch the Braves game. Noon start. End up this woman, I would say probably in her late 60s, early 70s, sits over near me. And the lady just starts chatting you up.
Yeah.
And she starts talking about our education system and the problems we have across the South. Now, this woman's from New York.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm just listening to like we have this, and I'm starting
to even bring their cat to work.
I'm explaining to her how football has changed the academic standards at all these universities across the country, that when you have successful football, you have so many more applicants, and it changes who gets in and who doesn't. Trying to explain this to this woman. And eventually she's like, well, what about the non-athletes? What about this? What about this? And I just got up and I go, well, personal responsibility is a personal thing, and it's a big deal. I went to use the restroom. I'm walking out, and she's got like her head in her hands, and all I think to myself is, that Democrat just got a dose of reality.
Yeah.
I gave it to her straight with no chaser.
Dude, it is
but when you put it in their face.
It's so incredible to see these videos of like all the sorority parties and is it not indoctrination? What's when you're inducted?
Well, it's rush.
Right, yeah, when you rush. Yeah, I know nothing about
you're
it.
trying to put your best foot forward and make it fun.
And all that sort of stuff. I dropped out of college 3 times, so I didn't, and my son's not.
You didn't get to rush at all?
No.
You should start your own fraternity now. Right. It's never too late.
Yeah,
it's never too late. I saw that documentary, Old School.
Yeah, Old School.
Absolutely.
It's never too late.
No,
it's back to school, Robbie.
Yeah.
I mean, the president's been set.
Yeah, look, I think it would be great. But,
I'd be the
but I know
godfather.
nothing about it. I just love seeing these kids having so much fun, and they've got life by the tail, and it pisses the Democrats off so badly that they can't stand it. They can't have fun like this.
No.
And then they start, nitpicking at it. They bring in all kinds of crazy issues. Well, there's not enough of this or not enough of that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a bunch of kids having fun. Back the hell off.
Look at that. There must be a bunch of racists, a bunch of white kids there, and that's what they have in their fraternity. And you're like, wait a minute. Hold on. Don't we have black fraternities, black sororities, white support? It's fine. Stop taking away the fun of these kids right now.
You have to go looking for this stuff to get angry about.
You sure do.
You really have to. You have to. You start running it through your filter. Like when I see those sorority videos, I go, "That's cool. That's pretty creative. They're having a good time." I don't go, I don't see any Indian population represented with the
Right.
I don't get it.
There's only
This is not what I'm doing.
Counting people by race.
Right.
You got to make sure.
Well,
Got to hit the quota.
I would
How
assume
tiring.
I would assume this. Well, I would assume this happens when you're at home and all the cats are running around screaming
What
for
did you
food,
say?
and you're getting annoyed, and you're like, you know what? I got to take this out on someone. Let me go to Facebook and see who's having a nice, fun time. I got to ruin it for them.
Yeah, let me be mad about it.
Because I'm living with these cats that have peed all over my house.
That's right. And now I smell bad.
And I'm 600 pounds.
And smell bad. I can't believe we're talking about cat women. We're not supposed to talk about cat women.
Oh, I'm just going to say we're getting
I never said women. I just said cat people.
getting ready.
Wow.
I'm inclusive.
We got 6 minutes. We get a guest on the phone, and then we're going to get to air that tomorrow.
Yeah,
John
it'll
and
be fun.
Drazik.
Yeah,
Fire
it's
for
gonna be
Fighting.
fun. Absolutely. Can't wait to play that for you tomorrow. Want you to join Extra 106.3 as we adopt a duck to support Special Olympics of Georgia and its athletes. Special Olympics of Georgia is currently offering rubber ducky adoptions, where your donation not only gets you registered for some great prizes, but your support will help send athletes to the game. Hurry, there's only a few ducks left before the race on September 18th. To adopt a duck and support Georgia Special Olympians, go to duckrace.com/Atlanta. It's duckrace.com/Atlanta. And that will do it for the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. So it's been a fun morning. It always is. Anytime I get to hang out with all my buddies here on Extra, the whole Hee Haw gang's here today. So thank you for being here. If you ever want to reach out to us after the show, you can always get us on social media at Extra 106.3. During the show, you can always call us at 404-741-1230. And you can always stream us on Extra 106.3's app or on the Extra 106.3 YouTube channel. So many ways to be involved with Extra 106.3, and we appreciate you considering each and every one of them. So for Rhino, for Front Office Los, and for Captain newly ranked, newly promoted Captain Goey Virgin River, our wonderful board op. Y'all have a good day, and y'all come back now, yeah? The Kimmer Show is only on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
The Virginia governor, Youngkin, I believe.
Yeah, Youngkin.
Has just basically mandated paper ballots. It's your